Y'all infidels were burning witches tonight. Not even Smoking the Bear is going to be able to save your ancestors this time, you stupid moron.
Someone in the comments picked him with a band-aid. That was good. I'm sorry, that was fucking good. Anyways.
Well, that's my job as a woman, I think, first and foremost. And then as a writer, I gotta maintain some level of like, making sure that you're in a good place.
Everything that they've done since claiming the PS5 is for hardcore gamers. It's just simply appealed to the casuals.
That's about it. Follow me on Twitter. Preserve film, just like preserving video games. I don't know.
Hunter! What's up? In the White House? Seriously?
Well, Marvel and what Stan Lee, I think, I don't know if it was genius or laziness. It's like, we'll just put them all in one city. We won't even make up a fictionless and we'll just use new.
Here the night, what you got coming up for tomorrow?
I'm perfectly sober.
Lies.
Thank you. Are you home? Do you have children? Must not you be their hope? Are there future generations from all of us who have failed them?
And the mom shaming, a term typically used to highlight harsh judgment of birthing people.
Fuck these stupid
Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this shit?
Wrote.
Boom! Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday night podcast that I do on the YouTube channel, and we've been doing it for 65 episodes now. That's like well over a year, and we're still doing this thing. So that's a thing, right? That's something to celebrate. Weekly podcast, 65 episodes, nearly 100, but not close yet. Hey, everybody! Welcome to the show.
Good to see that blackmail I have on you has held up so well.
do we have to bully you into showing your face again? Is that where we're gonna go? Like 5 seconds into the show here.
Yo, I'll just laugh it off. I'm cleaning my house while I do this.
Better just hear like a random vacuum cleaner like halfway into the conversation.
My mother does that to me when I'm having breakfast. Like while I'm having breakfast, she'll literally just start vacuuming. It's like, can't you just wait till I'm finished? Like I'll be finished in 10 minutes. Could you relax?
The absolute worst would be like Saturday morning, where it's like it's the one day that you don't have to get up early, then someone just vacuums at like 8 in the morning. Where it's like, are you serious right now? It's like the one day.
Breakfast for 10 minutes?
I'll be in the middle of having breakfast. I don't like to admit, what? You eat breakfast in 2 seconds? That's how it works at your house, bro?
I'm a military brat. I freaking eat I'm done a bowl of cereal in like 2 minutes. At most.
It's not healthy, sir.
My husband made a steak for breakfast today. So.
That's how you feel more full, when you kind of spread out how you eat food.
Mm-hmm.
It's Count Chocula.
Well, he made me caramel brownies for dinner, so I am to be envied of all women.
Oh, that's super healthy. Get caramel brownies for dinner. That's super healthy.
Yeah. You might as well just switch from your. You guys might as well switch from your Count Chocula or your brownies to just downing sugar. You'll be done in 10 seconds.
Yeah, brown sugar or something like that.
Well, so he made steak for breakfast for me, and we had turkey tenderloins, rotisserie turkey tenderloins for dinner. So, like I said, I am to be the most envied one of all of you today. So
I only have Count Chocula while it's good. Other than that,
Shut up!
Hey guys, Cider's here. How you doing there, Cider?
Oh, Jacob's relieved.
Dude, what the frick?
I like your new glasses.
I don't know. They're cheap on the
Terminator.
internet.
Cider, it's more like Terminator.
Cidernator.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he thinks he's Cyclops now. I see.
Oh,
well, like I
yeah,
said,
sure.
the running joke had been Bret the Hitman Hart because it's basically like his old school pink shade.
Oh,
So.
Yep. Fuck it, I can remember that. I'm old enough to remember that shit.
Well, the one looks kind of red from your computer screen, I guess. So I was actually thinking Deadshot.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Anyway,
I don't know. They were $5 on Amazon. I was like, is the doctor here?
Don't look into the sun or they will melt your eyeballs.
No, really. Was that like the TARDIS landing at somebody's house? What the shit was that?
I mean,
Undertaker.
That's the old school gone. That's not the recent one they've been abusing for the last 20 years. That's going all the way back to the 90s, baby.
Yeah, man, I remember that shit. That got everybody freaking excited when you heard that sucker. And it's like, oh shit.
I used to prank my friends back in the day. I would just play like the Undertaker gong, and all of a sudden like shut the lights off. It's just
I mean, we had a baby when I was a kid. We had a babysitter that loved watching WWF, and he actually did that. He actually cut the frickin' power and played the frickin' gong over the radio because he had it recorded on a tape, and then he just hit the tape, and it's like, cut the power, boom. It's like, what the fuck?
By the way, we do have people in the chat joining us tonight, so I guess we should cue them in too here. Neil Zoic saying, howdy barroom crew. The good folks in the chat. Fun question. Which family musical fantasy movie would you rather watch? The old school Wizard of Oz or Willy the Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? I would say Willy Wonka because somehow it's less gay than the Wizard of Oz.
Wonka. Running some kind of
I'd
funhouse
say,
here,
how's the
Wonka.
Wizard of Oz gay?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
Have you seen that Cowardly Lion?
He's not gay. He's a pussy. There's a difference.
Yeah.
He's not in the pussy. He just is a pussy.
I'm just stunned by that. The Wizard of Oz is gay. I mean, Dorothy doesn't even act like a lesbian. I don't know where the hell that came from. Nobody's got sandals on in the whole movie.
Yeah, I like the cut of the Wizard of Oz where she's wearing blackface. That's a much more entertaining movie than that one. By the way,
she goes down the red lane.
That whole blackface clip that resurfaced like about a month ago. It's like we've been making fun of that clip for like years, like several years, and then all of a sudden the internet finds it one day. It's like, oh my god, what a terrible person she is.
Twitter found it.
No,
Remember when they went after frickin' Mary Poppins for the blackface when it was just soot on her face?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh my
surprised
God,
they haven't. I'm surprised they haven't went after James Dean yet when he struck oil and he got it all over himself. In
give
giant...
it time. Give him time.
Yeah,
I mean,
give it time. They'll also go after
literally-
Armageddon.
They're literally going after a woman who's been dead since like 1968.
Well, to be fair, rightfully so. That controversy literally died within a day when they got corrected into fucking oblivion. So deservingly so. This is what happens when Gen Z thinks they have the right to dictate society.
Oh my god, I absolutely love that video of the person talking about Gen X. It's like, who gave them a pass? It's like, dude, you don't want to fuck with Gen X. We'll kill you.
Well, see, I just take the I'm older than you approach, and it's like, look, I don't have a million cats at my house to feed. My student loans are paid off. I do work that's meaningful, and I have a family, and I'm married, and I'm happily married at that. So, like, I don't need somebody that can't decide what gender they are today and can't decide, to get through school or not, and if they need a mental health day because Starbucks closed or avocado lime or avocado toast went on, or it's skyrocketing in price.
I'll put it to you this way: I'm not gonna let someone with a haircut like this dictate my morality whatsoever. So it's like, if you have a haircut like this, I'm just not taking you seriously whatsoever. So there you go, Gen X, get wrecked.
The fuck?
What's the generation after Gen Z, by the way? Because I was actually
The alphas.
The alphas.
Yeah, Gen Alpha.
Oh yeah,
Okay, that
Gen
makes
Alpha.
sense because
The
my
alpha.
kids already
They
know that
can't
the
tell
generation
time on an
between me
analog
and them
clock,
is stupid.
right? So they had to change all the clocks into like these digital things, and
I'm
We
thinking to
have a
myself.
bonus question here, just real quick. Would you rather be a Asian dragon, a unicorn, or a phoenix?
They all poop terribly, and the phoenix you would need fire insurance. So probably the unicorn.
Yeah.
The unicorn is a very devastating creature in the real mythology.
Well, hold on. Is it the English unicorn, or are we talking about like the underwater unicorn, the narwhal? Because if it's narwhal, I mean, you stab things with your face. That's pretty badass.
Assuming the fact that no one knew who that creature was until you just mentioned that, I think they're gonna go with the old
People who
school
watch
definition.
Futurama, excuse me, would know that. Okay.
The narwhal?
Oh, I've known what narwhals are for a while. Nerd. Yes, I know.
I just assumed that our audience is not smart.
Song about it.
Vanya is joining us here tonight. Alex versus Evil also joining us here on the show tonight. Don't Let Him Burn joining us once again on the show for last night. Duke Nukem also saying people like meme. I don't know if sure that's the song goes, but you can go ahead with that one as well. Cassie's in the chat. JEC, we already saw him earlier in the chat as well. Let's celebrate when we get to 69. Yeah, exactly right. Oh, guys, this is gonna be like another copyright claim video that I'm gonna have to like cut out after the fact.
Oh, most definitely.
Hold on a second. Who else do we got here? I was gonna give a quick little shout out. Yeah, apparently people are not a fan of cereal. By the way, JC says he gets kidney stones if he eats too fast. Well, you may have something there.
That's salt, you jackass.
I was gonna say that's a hit to Orange Hat.
Yeah, that seems like a personal attack. The Cidernator is going on here.
I had to take them off because they were making my camera's brightness filter continually like keep flowing in and out, and I was like, somebody's going to be photosensitive in the audience, and we don't need them telling us about them foaming all over themselves during the episode. So.
Yeah. Who else do we have on here? Oh, of course, Spencer's back, so no, he had to be on this show because, of course. Yep. Drax the Clown also here tonight. Zero Dozer back with us, saying, hey, once again, to all you guys, bullying absolutely needs to come back. We should have never gotten rid of it in the first place. People are saying Phoenix. Tactus Jones also here saying Wizard of Oz definitely. Willy Wonka can't compete with it. I agree. So are we going to the escalating shitstorm Logan Paul's involved with? Maybe we'll relate into that towards the closer, but we're definitely going to touch on some relationship issues in a little bit here. The king changed in the court. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's a good one.
I'll say this: Jacob can't convince me to turn my camera back on because I need to get mileage out of the new avatar that Spencer drew for me.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, because that's
Batgirl's in her hulking it pose.
I thought she was trying. Never mind. I'm not gonna say.
I feel like in that pose, she's on the cusp of dropping like the most insane fart known to man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called her
Internet
finisher.
Gas.
I think her fart would be more devastating than anything else that she could possibly show.
She would literally make. She would make a gas planet all by herself.
Yeah.
Okay, so like if you read the funny part about all this, if you read the books, the opening scene is where she is like starving herself because she's in her real form. She wants to be a supermodel and she's going to this modeling contest later, and she's had nothing but skim milk and egg whites for breakfast. It's just she's trying really hard to hold in her farts.
Is there a part where she like turns Super Saiyan and then becomes 400 pounds? Is that how it works?
Well, this is before the fat girl thing, and she like I said, she farts really, really loudly in front of everybody in her class, and it's a sweaty fat kid who ends up being the good guy. You know,
so it's her
takes the
theme
blame
song
for it.
from Weird Al.
So.
Yeah. Okay, what is this? Because this already looks like something from like Happy Tree
Back to 2006, guys. Yeah. He'll beat a polar bear in a fight. Polar bear doesn't have a sword on his face, now does he?
He's got like those sharp
so
claws,
he,
though, like
I know
Wolverine.
you're not retarded. But what are you, Down syndrome?
He.
Oh yeah, but So when we start talking about retarded people, I think we should go ahead and start off pretty hot here because this is something that we've kind of been talking about throughout the course of the last year. I know Cassie's been here long enough to hear the story a couple of times, but it's happened again. Another rapper has snitched on himself. He made a rap song about a murder he committed, and now he's being charged, and the lyrics are being used against him in a court of law. I know it's shocker. It just seems to be happening over and over again. You think they learned by now, but apparently not. But
who are these super detectives cracking the case on this guy?
They must be the same people who run 4chan.
They have Inspector Gadget working on this?
Wait, I thought they passed a bill or a law or some shit.
In California.
It was, I think, California, and then New York has tried to do it, but I'm not sure if that actually passed. So only in those states can you basically not go to jail for snitching on yourself. And apparently this did not happen in one of those states. So here's the kind of the background of the story. A Nevada rapper, well, there you go. There's your first mistake. Yeah. What's his name? Kenjuan McDaniel was arrested on a murder charge in Las Vegas after he allegedly confessed to the murder in the song lyrics. The 25-year-old is accused of he was taken into police custody on August 29th. He is held on one charge of open murder with a deadly weapon. He was held on $1 million bond with electric monitoring, so he has ankle bracelets on. The victim here was identified by several outlets as Randall Wallace, a 32-year-old who was found shot to death in an apartment complex 2 years ago. Police claim that the victim had gotten into an argument with 3 suspects who were unidentified at that point. According to the arrest report, McDaniel released a song called Fade Free, which police allege contains details about the killing that was not known by the general public at the time.
He doesn't even just say it. He gives the details of the crime.
Along with the music video that was posted on YouTube. In the arrest report, police broke down the lyrics of the song and apparently lined up with the details of the homicide. He says, brought it with the fire. Hear that, y'all. I see your body twitching, McDaniel's raps, according to the Review Journal of Las Vegas, which matched up with the details of the victim twitching to death before he died, which is something that wasn't publicly known. Another lyric from his song says, park the car, double backed on the feet, smartest way to slide, which police says also aligned with the killing. So McDaniels also allegedly refers to a nickname which Channel 8 News reported, which was Wallace's name was the victim here. So there were several lyrics within the song that pretty much lined him up and identified him with the murder in question here. So yeah, he's going to be looking at life in prison if he's convicted here. So if you've been paying attention or you've been with us long enough, we've been covering this story for quite some time with rappers like Jay-Z and Meek Mill. They've been trying to pass these laws in different states around the country where they're trying to make it so that lyrics cannot get used in essentially criminal cases against rappers, because these rappers are so stupid. They keep rapping about the crimes that they're committing on these on these albums, on these songs, and then police are saying, well, hey, we're gonna have an active investigation into this homicide, and you just rapped about several details of the case that wasn't publicly known, and now we can pretty much match you up as the assailant in a lot of these crimes. So this was going back a little further here. I can pop this back up here. This is going back a little further. Jay-Z and Meek Mill, like I said, tried to urge New York lawmakers to stop rap lyrics from being used in the court of law. And this is kind of funny. Like, this is where we're at now. It's like, it's not just, hey, stop admitting the crimes in your music so that they can't be used against you. It's like, no, the rappers can't help themselves. So we need to pass laws in order to protect the rappers so they can stop admitting to murders in their music. This is the level of sheer stupidity that we're at right now. And Jay-Z and Meek Mill are a couple of the big name rappers trying to propose this that will block lyrics from being used during trials. They're trying to claim that this is like a freedom of speech and artistic expression angle for this whole thing, which is why they're pushing it. But it's like, yeah, that doesn't apply when you're actually admitting to murder.
You are doing something in the commission of a crime. Your First Amendment right is nullified.
Yeah.
Look, all right. The Fifth Amendment, right? The one I plead the first, where you're not allowed, you can, like, I have the right not to incriminate myself. Yeah. That only applies if you haven't incriminated yourself yet. Okay?
These are just like the stupidest people who have ever like. This has got to be some of the dumbest generation of rappers like ever, like just ever. And it's gotten to the point now where there's a big case here in Atlanta with a big rapper and his group that were involved with a lot of gang activity out here. I think they said once his team was locked up, like the murder rate here in Atlanta dropped like 25%, like in 1 year, just since they all got locked up. So it's like there's further evidence that these people were probably involved in a lot of the crimes that are going on here. And this is kind of the problem. Rap has become a gateway for criminals. So it's just these people who were already drug dealers and murderers before they got into rap, got big in the rap game, and then they're still doing drug dealing and murdering. And then they're singing about the drug dealing and the murdering that they're doing openly in their lyrics. And now the police are like, wait a minute. So now all these people are going to jail, and you have other rappers, other idiots out there who are trying to find ways to protect these guys because there's no way to stop them from snitching on themselves and incriminating themselves. So it's like, clearly it's the justice system that's the problem here. It's gotten so bad.
Is it that rare to be able to like speak poetry to a beat? Is that they got to protect these guys? Is it that difficult?
But,
I mean, I haven't applied myself, but I screw around on Finatra's channel and it doesn't suck. Is that how it worked for Eminem? They were like, whoa, this guy can do it. He's like a samurai or something. He's the chosen one. We need to get a Buddhist monk in here to test him or something.
Look, I can pretty much attest to the fact that, you know, all of us here have probably done something that's been bordering on illegal at some point of our lives, no matter what the crime actually may have been. But we've never actually had the urge to admit to it to the public of people. It's like, I'm trying to reason with stupidity. That's why I'm finding a hard time finding the words for this entire story, because it's just sheer stupidity. No other genre of music has this problem. You don't have this problem in country music. You don't have Taylor Swift getting arrested for unpaid parking tickets that she sung about in her songs.
I got to point this out. Merle Haggard, all right, he wrote a song called "This Outlaw Business Is Getting Out of Hand." And this whole song is about them pretending to be outlaws and the police taking them seriously and chasing them across the country.
I mean, now I'm wondering what Jay-Z did.
Well, I mean, Jay-Z's been pretty open with the fact that his rise to fame was being a drug dealer in Brooklyn until he became a successful rapper. So God knows how many bodies that Jay-Z's had over
until he accepted Satan into his heart. Then
of course. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, the one thing that always revolves around, drug dealing is just the reality that it's not necessarily the drugs that are the worst thing in the world. It's the bodies that follow these drugs, sad to say. And the fact that they're actually trying to protect murderers, self-admitted murderers, goes to show that these people don't care about black people. Jay-Z is only proven to give a fuck about himself. I'm sure he wants to make money off these fucking people. And who cares?
I think this is a very interesting way of dealing with climate change. So
what?
Yeah.
Anyway. Dre 2001 is actually it's one of those CDs that admits to shit. Because there's a few songs on there that's like, yeah, they're talking about car bombs and other shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Little did you know, in the latest Zelda game, when Cassie's playing it, she's recreating her serial murders using the attachment.
That used to be the thing with like hip hop though. Like hip hop used to be like rappers pretending like they were gangbangers and pretending like they were gangsters, but they really weren't. And now you have rappers who are actually criminals. They're just telling everyone all the dirt that they're doing behind the scenes. Like there was a guy called AR Ab, who I think was a big rapper like a few years ago. He would just casually do interviews talking about the drug running that he was involved with, the murders that he was involved, like just openly. They're all on YouTube right now. Then of course someone got word to the cops, and the cops were like, oh, let's investigate these things. Now I think he's currently been sentenced like 20 years in prison thanks to his involvement in like various crimes. It's like, it's like some people are just too dumb to live at this point.
Velcro shoes. Velcro.
Exactly. Now we're trying to essentially bend the law, bend the justice system to appease the murderous rappers so they can flee from prison because they're just openly admitting. Yeah, exactly. A self snitching fetish is exactly what it is at this point. And we've played this here before too, and I think we did this like a few months ago, but we have to keep playing it because it just turns out to be true time and time again. So here we go again.
Yesterday at 3 o'clock, I shot Tony with a Glock. His body still laying there. Yeah, I did it. I don't care. Today I killed another guy. Put a bullet in his eyes. I shot the man in broad day. I still live on Broadway. I shot Michael in the back. The gun is in my Cadillac. I'm posted on the back block. I'm still selling crack rock. Today I caught another body. Had to shoot him with the Tommy. Left the man in critical. I dumped him in the river too. Yesterday at midnight, I got into a big fight. I killed Mike, I shot my gun. I'm waiting for the cops to come. I committed two crimes.
Look, you remember what happened when Will Smith tried to do the clean rap, right? You remember.
Yeah. Remember the heat that he got because he betrayed himself as like a clean rapper, and then all the other rappers are like, "Oh, fuck you, Will Smith." It's like, yeah, okay. Well,
yeah, this is what you get. You should have went Will Smith's way.
Yep.
My getaway. Johnny tried to act hard, I killed him in his backyard. Then I murdered Julio, now I'm at the studio. David tried to grab his gun, I shot him twice, I had to run. My middle finger to the cops, I'm still posted on the block. Mikey tried to set it off, I grabbed my gun, I let it off. I shot him cause I needed it, laughed about it, then tweeted it. Billy owed me mad cash, I had to let the gas blast his body in my Pontiac, the crib where you can find me at.
I mean, this is the rap game now.
Okay, so one of my favorite YouTubers is Long Beach Griffey, and he does like fake raps about stuff, like horrible, terrible things. And it's like, why can't more people be like that?
You know how they have them like the recording booth, and they're like the guy that's they're separated, and they've got like the big mixing thing there with the sliders and stuff. You can just see like he's in the middle of like rapping about killing Tony or whatever in a Cadillac. He's got the Glock in the back of the Cadillac or whatever.
Yeah.
You see him scribbling on a piece of paper and hear boom against the glass, and it just reads, "Shut up! Stop!"
Because now you're making me guilty by association.
I will not keep your secrets.
Exactly.
It's like, dude, I will fucking testify against you if you keep that shit up.
That's right. The guy on the recording, he's got that second button over there that runs the confession tape recorder. He's like, hold on, bro. I'm going to turn this into a dual track.
I mean, then you got to think like the feds have to like love these songs because I mean these rappers are basically doing their jobs for them. Like all they have to do, like you think a normal investigation, big time and efforts. Like no, we just have to play this dude's 3-minute diss track and we'll figure out exactly what happened.
Look, I bet Chat GPT could figure this out, right? You feed the lyrics in there and then ask it, did the writer of these lyrics murder someone?
Oh yeah,
it would say yes.
It's gonna get Minority Report real quick.
I mean, all they need, like I said, there's probably a reason why Dre hasn't left the state of California.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
it's gonna be like a refuge spot for fucking rapper murderers. So.
Rapper murderers. Everyone's gonna move back to Compton now, so they're all gonna go back to the homeland, and it's gonna be red and blue, and people getting shot for wearing the wrong hats. It's gonna be great.
Escape from LA becomes real life.
Yeah.
Who's worse, rappers or actors? Well, I mean, considering the fact that Brie Larson hasn't shot and killed anyone and then admitted about it in a rap song, I think we're gonna have to go with rappers by default.
She hasn't admitted to it, Jacob.
Yeah, not yet, right?
Man, if you've seen Fast X where she's holding the gun and shooting and stuff, you know that she couldn't even shoot a gun without flinching.
Well, I mean, yeah, she's kind of frail too. I mean, I've seen.
There's no counter.
I recently saw Fast X and I said it plainly. It's like, this movie is absolutely outrageous to the level of Sharknado.
Yeah. I mean, Brie Larson looks like the type of person who would like shoot a desert eagle and cry. That just seems to be
Brie Larson's my favorite.
If she shot a desert eagle, she'd break her wrist because she'd fire it wrong.
Yeah, Brie Larson has learned to shut up. Don't spike that football just yet. There's still time for her to screw this up over the next coming weeks. So.
Not really, because the SAG-AFTRA won't allow her to talk. Why isn't she bitching about the patriarchy?
Wait, you think all of a sudden she actually truly does know how to shut the fuck up?
How long until the strikes
If it involves getting fined, yeah.
How long until the strikes what?
Turn violent.
They won't, because fucking California already showed, or freaking Hollywood already showed them who's boss by cutting down those fucking trees.
They can take away our shade, but they can't take away our wills.
Those AIDS protesters broke into Pelosi's office the other day there.
No, that was McCarthy. Or they went into McCarthy's office.
They went in McCarthy's office even.
Or are they going to get 20 years in jail too, or is that okay when they do it?
It's okay when they do it.
It's the double stamp, yeah.
It's not a crime if we don't consider it one, conveniently.
Exactly.
We just need to redefine crime until there's no crime left.
It's only illegal if somebody tries to stop you. That's what I tell people. Yeah, you could drive down the street doing cocaine, drinking vodka, and flooring it in a 25, doing 70 to 25. It's only illegal if somebody catches you.
Yeah.
We need a hall of justice with the judges.
We need
Just
Judge
fucking
Dredd. That's what we need.
bring in Judge Dredd. Laws we know it has now collapsed, so bring in the judges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean we're pretty close to that point as it is, but I mean, like I said, this is just another example of yet another idiot who, like I said, I don't know what is this infatuation with admitting to crimes publicly, where it's like it used to be back in the day, like people who did dirt used to try to keep it like hidden from the feds so that they didn't get caught, and now it's people just openly bragging about it and then somehow becoming shocked when they're in cuffs at the end of the day. It's like I don't get
they
it.
always do. Yeah. That's always the telltale thing, is that the murderer will return to the scene, and then they always admit it to somebody. Just back in the day, there was no Twitter, there was no YouTube, there was no music industry to go around and parade yourself through. If there was a radio station you could hold on to in a single state while you were going on your crime spree, that is impressive all on its own. But this is the time of like Bonnie and Clyde and all the other gangsters, so they were just bragging to other gangsters. Didn't have anybody else to brag to.
Honestly, I have to blame the cops, because if you're telling me that these dumb motherfuckers that are stupid enough to admit to their own crimes didn't have plenty of other fuck-ups in the process of committing blatant murder, then, I mean, you cops are the fucking morons, really.
Mm-hmm. They gotta wait for the assailant to snitch on themselves before we can solve the crimes. But I mean, hey, maybe they're just so used to it now, they just assume that, hey, somebody died. Well, hopefully in the song come out in the next couple of weeks we can figure out who it was.
Do you imagine
I
the first time?
jump. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm gonna jump in real quick and say, like, I think one of the things, I think it's possible to write good raps. Okay, like as a former English teacher, that's controversial in my field of study. Okay, but no, there's actually a rapper called Diggs the Prophecy. He wrote a rap for me for Discord, and it's really nice. And he does a lot of anime raps. It's really fun to watch his videos. So there's alternatives. And
it's gonna be really awkward when that guy admits to a murder in 2 weeks.
Rap has been a thing since the early freaking 1000s, because believe it or way before, rap is actually one of the oldest forms of music, because not so much music, but actually they used it for a purpose. It was during the Agoge, during the for the Spartans, where they actually had to test wits again and create rhymes, and it was such a form that it resembles rap.
Well, and that's where like the cultural kind of nuance to it has to come in. A lot of rap today speaks to the lower planes of human existence, as we're discussing now. And like a lot of what you learn about when you're an English teacher for high school has to do with like transcendentalism and romanticism, and the like even the neoclassic era and everything like that. So it's like it doesn't fit in very well.
So Athens and
even if you
Sparta
specifically
with the
talk
original Crips and Bloods.
Well, if you talk, even if you go down to like an African American niche, you can talk about like the gospel songs like "Follow the Drinking Gourd" and like the kind of like the songs that come out of slavery. Yes. So, and then you have the blues era, and then you have like the rock era and all the influences that they still have. So rap in itself is not, you know, it's.
It was perverted into what it has become today.
Right.
Basically, what I was saying. Because also
Right.
Vikings did the same, or the Vikings also had that same kind of rapping culture where they would test wits against each other.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of oral cultures too. They had to make things sound pretty, so you would remember them because they didn't have a way of writing it down.
Viking rap.
Hey, Rick, what do you think about rappers snitching on themselves?
I think it's just you know, they're reflecting their culture. Is that what we're told about rap music? That they're just reporters. That's basically what they are. That's what we've been told for years about rap. That, you know, they're just reporting what's on the streets.
Can you imagine if there was like a serial killer reporter and then he would have to like report on the murder that they did like right outside the cameras?
Wasn't that the plot of Dexter? Wasn't that like Dexter?
Yeah, that's like Dexter if he was Dan Rather, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey man, at least they actually write their own lyrics, on, you know, unlike Cardi B. But I digress.
But that's another thing. It's like rap is so bad. Like how do you have a ghostwriters and your like rhymes are still trash? It's like you need somebody else to write garbage for you.
What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen if the ghostwriters start admitting to their own murders?
Cardi B would actually be a better rapper if she started rapping about her freaking drugging and thieving the men in freaking hotels. If she
Could you imagine if the ghostwriters were committing murders and then like giving the song to somebody else and then the other guys get arrested?
I got an even better one for you. I got an even better one for you. Right now, you can go onto Fiverr and hire a rap ghostwriter that does the whole thing. They do everything, the music, the beat. They'll even sing the song with a voice changer, whatever. They'll do whatever you need to do with it, right? So you confess your crime on Fiverr to a guy and tell him to write a rap about it.
Well, you know, wasn't that the plot for Notorious? The Biggie Small story where a guy took the fall for Biggie so that he could become the rap superstar that he became?
Sure.
Yeah. Because apparently Biggie was involved with like a shooting, and some other guy took the fall so that he could become the rap star. And like I said, you try to get away with stuff like that, and you still reap what you sow. So.
Yeah, you see, this has been going on since the beginning of hip hop. But I can tell you this: you never hear Yo-Yo Ma involved in like a gangland shooting. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you never hear about Katy Perry and Taylor Swift getting in a Bloods and Crips shootout at the VMA. So there you go.
How many murders has Enya committed all through Ireland?
Like Bjorn, right?
Yeah. Well, Bjork slaps a woman. So.
And
you know, with the abilities of AI these days, you think that we'd be able to like have like Taylor Swift reenact DMX's "My Niggas" and then put that out as an actual song?
I mean, all those songs that Enya does that are not in English, you might want to look into the translations.
Yeah.
Imagine if these guys were oceanographers, what they would rap about.
Oh yeah, it'd be bad.
I'm waiting for them to create their own fucking language and just make songs based upon this language that they create. Because like people are more than willing to listen to music that they don't understand. I mean, I even listen to K-pop. I don't know any Korean whatsoever. So
there's some songs that are just really good melody that I like, and then there's other songs that are just like, what the fuck is this shit? Turn it off.
Well, any final thoughts on the rap subject before we move on to our next topic here?
Just imagine the first time this happened, right? Like the first time some guy's listening to like some song on the radio, like a local performance or something like that. He's like a detective. He's just drinking his coffee on a stakeout or whatever. They're trying to figure out this murder. And there's this guy at a local radio station just belting out line by line the exact details of the crime. This guy's flipping through on the folder, map light in the car. You could just see it on your head, like this poor bad Columbo sitting here, like son of a bitch.
That's a new TV show. We could call it Rain Man and the Rapper.
Right.
Also, so glad that they didn't do it to Fred, or they didn't do this to Freddie Mercury when he was coming out with freaking Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean,
Or Johnny
what's
Cash.
the first? Yeah, what's the first freaking lyric? Mama just killed a man, put a
Shot a man
gun
in
against
Rito.
his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. It's like,
Yeah, they didn't
son
get
of a
Johnny
bitch.
Cash for Fulton County Blues either. So,
Well, no, because he was already in prison singing it.
Okay.
Everyone hates a fucking snitch, but at least they're snitching on themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they got nobody else to blame but themselves.
Yeah, they
for it.
killed their
I
own
kind
rep.
of, I have to wonder how many CIA like connections they have too. You know, that would be kind of fun. It's like, hey, I don't like this guy, you know, but
Do
I'm
they
friends
have
with
like
this
a
rapper.
gang in prison for all the self-admitted rappers? They're like their own gang.
And everyone who snitched on themselves.
Like the snitch squad, you know, self-snitch squad.
Dude,
you know?
do they have to shank themselves when they're in prison because they're the ones that snitched on themselves?
Maybe it's a human centipede of shanking.
I'm just curious, like, how do we
Human
know
shake-
that? Like, you know, rap is the present day poetry. So I'm curious. I mean, how many bodies did Robert Frost bury out in those fields?
Yeah, you got a good point.
Not
Robert
enough.
Frost would at least
wanna
dress
know.
them up, and
He did
like, he
take
would
the
kill
path
them.
less traveled, and you can hide a lot of dead bodies out there. Not a lot of people go out. It made all the difference for him.
See, now we know why Emily Dickinson never left her room, because she was out there killing
Virginia
people and-
Woolf.
Yeah.
Check the lighthouse, somebody.
Yeah, so let's jump over here to our next topic. So
Jekyll and Hyde.
over the weekend, there was a UFC card in Australia, UFC 293, and the big story was obviously Sean Strickland dominating Israel Adesanya, Cassie's favorite fighter in the entire world, and winning the middleweight championship. Yeah, well, he got beat down pretty bad
I
last
saw.
Saturday night. So
He got
yeah.
the shit kicked out of him.
I mean, Sean Strickland is like basically like Sean Strickland is just a mess. He's an absolute mess of a human being. If you don't know his backstory, he was raised by abusive parents. His father was a drunk. His mother was abusive to him. He grew up as a neo-Nazi as a teen. Later got out of that. And if you see him in like any kind of like interviews that he does, like he's the definition of no filter as a human being. Like he's just the absolute definition of like he'll just say anything that he possibly says. But it is kind of inspiring in a sense to watch him, someone who struggled so much throughout his life, finally come on top and become the not heavyweight champion, but the middleweight champion. Like he is like one of the best champions in the UFC right now, which is kind of shocking to say. But yeah, after dominating him, that was the big story. However, there were some other stories that really upset some MMA journalists over the last couple of days, and it was the fact that not one but two fighters over the weekend used the gay F slur during their post-fight interview. Now these are both fighters who won their fights and then got on live on ESPN Plus. By the way, it says some not so friendly things here. This is what started off this whole I guess you could say dilemma here, but let's go back to what DC says. So this is a fighter. I want to make sure I get his name right because both of these guys I think are foreign fighters. But Chris Rackley here. This is what started the whole controversy here.
How good did it feel to get your first UFC victory? It felt great. And so fuck all you faggots up in the fucking crowd. Come down here and get some, you pussy ass bitch.
Oof.
Yeah, so obviously that guy didn't make himself any friends with the crowd over there in Australia for the fights, but things actually got a little bit worse because a couple of fights later, another fighter who won his fight as well, I think his name is Manuel Campe, got onto the screen. Keep in mind, this is all live on ESPN because they were doing the preliminary fights on here. And then he went and dropped yet another F-bomb right afterwards.
No one gonna do anything, you know why? All your teammates is a bunch of faggots.
Honestly, the white guy gets to say it loud and proud, but when the black guy says you gotta pull the mic away from him,
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
that dude is so freaking small. How the hell did he even win a fight?
I
He
mean,
crawled in that guy's pocket, beat the hell out of his balls.
Yeah. So I mean, keep in mind these are both guys who won their fights, by the way. But this caused a huge firestorm with MMA Twitter. You had like the big names like Ariel Helwani and Luke Thomas and all these other goofs. They're on there complaining about the language that was being used and complaining about the UFC, saying that Dana White allows this to happen because he doesn't silence his fighters and stuff like that. So Dana White actually did after the post-fight interview talk about this, essentially saying that, hey, look, you know, this is the fight business. He doesn't censor what people say. He pretty much lets anyone say what they want to say, whether he agrees with it or not. So I think this was the comments that he says. It's like, I think these guys get a little excited. You make bad mistakes. You know me. I didn't run over there, tell him, you better apologize. He said that on his own when he got backstage. He was embarrassed, got caught up in the moment. He apologized afterwards. He says, we make mistakes. I'm not holier than thou either. We've all been in positions where we made mistakes. And like I said, it's how you recover from it, how you carry yourself afterwards. I'm sure some people would accept his apology, some people won't, but that's the nature of the fight business. So he pretty much like dismissed like the whole controversy about this because people are like, oh, I wonder what Disney's gonna think about them saying those words on their channel. Like the journalist is essentially threatening to snitch to Disney, saying like, do you guys approve the use of this language on your program? It's like they have like a $300 million a year deal with the UFC. I'm not sure if you've seen Disney's stock price in their ratings right now. They could not afford to lose the UFC right now. So if a couple people throw gay F slurs out there, guess what? I think they're gonna have to let it slide because they're in no position right now to be making any rule rank. Especially since if you guys didn't know earlier today, the UFC and the WWE officially merged into TKO, which is essentially their publicly traded company name now. So they're now one solid company, the UFC and the WWE. But
how is that legal? Don't we have like trust laws that prevent that shit?
It's two different industries. It's MMA and pro wrestling. So because it's not the same. No, not fundamentally. It's not like, you talk about like monopolies and stuff like that. Like with pro wrestling and MMA, I don't think people really care enough to really like get the government involved, any kind of regulations. But because it is definitely two different industries as far as like pro wrestling being fake and MMA being real competition, there's really nothing stopping them from merging and becoming one entity at that point.
So when are we having the crossovers?
They've probably already started, or they're on their way of starting it very, very soon here. But this is the thing that bothers me about the story. I guess some of the reactions that people have had with this story. It's like we're talking about a sport here where guys literally get into a cage and punch each other in the face as hard as they can for 15 to 25 minutes every single fight. People are getting viciously knocked out, unconscious, getting TKO'd and brutally knocked out. People are bleeding. People are got to go to the hospital. And you guys are crying about the language that they're using after the fights. It's like, where do we draw the line here? It's like, this is the fight business. If you don't like the things that people say in the fight business, I don't know, as George Masvidal once said, maybe you should go back to watching soccer, where they don't say bad words that you like here. So I'll go ahead and start this off with Cassie here. What is your thoughts on kind of the reaction that people have? Because some people said some bad words after a violent encounter with another guy in a cage.
So I actually watched this all with my buddies in Discord server, and we were fucking dying. Like we were just dying laughing at, like, not just one but two dudes just calling.
Yeah, almost back to back.
Yeah, it was entertaining. It was more entertaining possibly than the fights themselves. And look, at the end of the day, UFC's for adults. If you're not adult enough to just deal with it, then go fuck yourself. The fact that they're trying to hold all of the UFC accountable for what two people chose to do out of their own free will. I mean, look, man, how about you hold ESPN accountable? They're the ones that want the interviews and all that. Hold ESPN accountable for it. They always want to go after UFC just because of who's behind it and all the controversy with that, and the fact that at least Dana White kind of runs a, while ripping off his fighters, he kind of runs a very generally laissez-faire company in comparison to some others where you have to watch everything you do, everything you say, and at the end of the day, it just seems like they want to, I don't know I guess you call it boisterous, like fighters that are very colorful. To sell their fights. So that comes with the nature of the business. The UFC is better at doing shit WWE should be doing when it comes to that. and it works. So at the end of the day, money's money. If you don't like it, don't support it.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's a better way that I can put it. And also put it to the fact that last night's episode of WWE Raw was the second lowest rating show ever. So yeah, they can use as much publicity as they can get at this point. Orange Chat, what's kind of your take on this?
I think they're just a bunch of fucking nits. Well, pussies to be completely blunt, because honestly, what are you complaining about? These are people who are just oozing, well, masculinity, and, well, you probably think it's toxic and all that shit. But this is the sport. You're gonna talk shit. You're gonna hype it up. You're gonna freaking, and if people don't fucking like you, well, they have no problems making their voices heard, because how many of you dipshits in the freaking in the crowd are actually gonna go down there and kick the shit out of them? I'd like to see that actually try to happen, because then they're gonna fuck around and find out. I mean, honestly, anybody who complains about harsh language, get the fuck off of Earth, because honestly, this is the real world. It ain't all sunshine and rainbows, as Rocky said. It's a very mean and nasty place, and it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there if you let it. But if you think that people are just going to cater to you because your feelings got hurt, or you don't like certain words, guess what? You're in for a harsh reality. The world is not a nice place. So, yeah.
That seems pretty simple there, right? Cider, like, I'm not sure if you're a big fight fan or what kind of your take on here.
I'm just gonna be honest here that the when it comes to, like you said there, that WWE had its lowest ratings in history, or second, whatever. Chiefly that's because you're dealing with the predictability. What made that popular initially, what made it like grow and explode, was the unpredictability of the show, of the performers, of what was going to happen next. A lot of what Austin did would not fly today. A lot of what The Rock did would not fly today. Things that established this brand as the cultural icon in America, maybe beyond, became things that couldn't be repeated because of company standards or ratings or new laws, however it was done, or law of the jungle. And so when you run into this in the wild as like a regular kind of, fisticuff situation where there isn't somebody rehearsing jumping off the side of the cage so they don't hurt themselves or break their shin in half mid-fight, you have this real-to-life experience. So yeah, a guy that is barely distinguishable as human from the neck up at the moment, maybe not going to be like the most inspirational speaker. Maybe he's going to be a little punchy still after taking 12 right between the eyes there for the past 10 minutes, huh? Maybe 140 PSI hitting him square in the forehead made him a little edgy, you know?
Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way. As we've proven last Saturday night, we're talking about a league here, the UFC, where a little former neo-Nazi can come into the UFC and beat an African world champion for the middleweight belt and become the new hero of the entire internet. It's like, look, if you guys don't understand the game that you guys are dealing with here, it's like you guys just need to, like I said, go back to watching soccer, because clearly MMA is not the sport for you. Neo here says, did you know, think that go ahead.
I just want to commend C.S. Johnson's mic for putting up such a fight tonight. Like, she is clearly beating the hell out of that thing, but man, it can take it. Whatever she's got there, it is good.
Whatever swiffering you're doing right now, we can be heard by everyone. Just throwing that out there. So, it says, do you think that the UFC and other MMA companies will force to become PG or MMA? No, I don't think it's going to happen with WWE at this point, because at the end of the day, the UFC is a pay-per-view business model, so they need as many buys as they can get. WWE is basically reliant on television. Now, I know there's a rumor out there that looks like Amazon might be buying the rights to was it SmackDown here in the next few years. So I don't know if them moving to streaming will change that thing, but it seems like WWE is pretty committed to being that family friendly type of entertainment here. So it's not going to go very well if they try to go to like TVMA and lose people. Like I said, now they're really reliant on the stock price and stuff like that. So I don't see either company really making that change here. And to people complaining about like foul language and stuff like that, and people saying bad things, keep in mind this interview right here with Nate Diaz is literally the interview that made him a superstar. And let's just say he said a lot of but that interview right there literally made Nate Diaz a superstar. Then when he beat Conor McGregor, like his star like shot up basically to the spaces there. I mean, there's look, you either going to be a part of the fight game or you're not. You can't sit there and complain about bad words in a violent sport, in an uber violent sport. So it's like you can't have your little PC liberal mindset when it comes to fight like this. This is why the overwhelming majority of fighters in the game, both male and female, are not liberals. Just put it that way. So yeah, it's just UFC.
I mean, at the end of the day, these people, make a living getting their fucking teeth knocked out, and there's a reason why a lot of them are forced to fight past their prime. If you're gonna hyper monitor them on top of it all, yeah, I don't think they're gonna give a fuck. So
Conor McGregor's shin broke in half. In half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it was like a little twiggy thing. It's just like that's happened to a few fighters over the last few years. I think because there's been a few guys that have gotten it really bad. Like Anderson Silva, it happened to him pretty bad a few years ago. Chris Weidman happened to him a couple of years ago where his leg snapped and looked like rubber. There was another guy like 15 years ago. I can't remember his name. I think he was like the first one of that type of injury that we saw. So we have seen instances like that where you go for a leg kick, it gets blocked, and then your leg basically turns into Play-Doh. And it's like, oh, well, this guy's out for the next 15 months.
Permanently. I've seen it too, where they go and they punch each other accidentally right in the fist, like their knuckles catch, and then that's just hamburger now.
Yeah,
exactly. That's not a hand anymore. That's just meat and shredded bone in there.
Yep. And if it's Mario Yamasaki, they're still gonna have to fight anyway. But Rick, what is your thought on all this violence and swearing?
I'm obviously not the target audience. I am far too bougie, as my cousin would say. I don't know who any of these people are. I'll say that from what I understand, the audience is used to this kind of language. And I figure that the fact that it was broadcast live is the issue. I come at this from a slightly different angle. I was thinking about this. The same journalists who were upset, these are the same ones that were upset about the hockey players who didn't wear the Pride warm-up jerseys. Yep. Maybe you should have a little consideration into maybe the not wearing the Pride jerseys is not maybe as bad as calling out these terms live on television. But if the target audience is not children or teens or something like that, I think, right or wrong, people are going to kind of expect or maybe know that this kind of language would be broadcast. I'm not someone who is fond of these terms, but if you go into these types of events, maybe you'll understand that they might come out. No pun intended. I'll just say that it's not something that I would want to watch or certainly enjoy. I kind of get scared at the idea of my legs. I mean, I get concerned just seeing footage of Aaron Rodgers. All right, so if that's already troubling, I don't even want to know what goes on in this MMA thingamabob. So I really have very little to add to that. Oh, sorry, Cassie, I forgot. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
Depression, pure depression.
I think that these guys have a beautiful rap career ahead of them should they decide to pursue it. So
the very day that they announced that they're in talks with Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, well, if he comes to the Jets, he's going to get injured week 1 and be out the entire season. And hello and fucking behold, because I'm a long-suffering Jets fan. We understand. Look, I have lived through watching fucking Chad Pennington getting his shoulder blown out, and then our secondary quarterback I forget who the fuck he was, but he was just as good as as an average starting quarterback. Get his shoulder blown out the play fucking after. So I understand that. Just the fact that they thought it was a good idea to have not only just Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson be the only two quarterbacks on the roster. Someone should be fired for that alone. Holy crap.
Well, they gave up 3 draft picks to get Aaron Rodgers, so that's probably why they only had a couple of quarterbacks left. But a couple of notes here before we move on to our next topic. One, Aaron Rodgers' entire New York Jets career. This is his stat line: 4 snaps, 1 pass attempt, and 1 sack. That's his entire career as a New York Jet.
Is that going to be part of the Hall of Fame plaque? That include that part.
They were getting roasted last night. Like, it was bad. Like, they would put Aaron Rodgers Jets career highlights, and it was literally just him coming out to the field for like 20 seconds, and then that was it. That was his entire career highlight.
And it's so sad because it was like how they started out the night when they were running out to the field. It's like you see Aaron Rodgers holding the American flag and running out. It was such a freaking sick moment. They sang the national anthem. And it was beautiful. Just for 10 minutes later, him to be done for the entire season.
Yeah, I got to pull this up only because it made me laugh for a while here. But yeah, here you go. The Jets watching Aaron Rodgers go down for the season on the first drive of the game on the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. And you can pretty much see how that night ended for them. Now, eventually they did win, but I mean, that's only because the Bills suck too. So that's just more to say on them than anybody else. And I did want to play this real quick too, because we were talking about fighting. So yeah, this is kind of an edit of what happened last Saturday night, which I also found very hilarious.
No man that beats off the cartoons is gonna beat me.
Yeah, it was bad last Saturday night. He got pummeled to oblivion. That's all I can say there. So,
sorry, but I would have called that fight because the guy was just trying to cover. He was not trying to defend.
Yeah.
That fight should have been called the second after the 5th punch was thrown.
Yeah, it's not my connection. It's Twitter being a place of ass-sucking social media. What do you guys say?
Imagine not having 4 more rounds of Alessandro getting the shit kicked out of him. So yeah, I'm glad that you weren't the ref.
Exactly. It's like refs just standing there like, I didn't hear no bell. All right. Well, we're going to jump over to our next topic here. Salma Hayek is now back in the news right now because apparently she's doing a film that is tackling trans acceptance. And it seems to be... You notice Salma Hayek's been in the news a lot over the last few months, and she's always grabbing headlines. It seems like she's trying to distract people from a very indirect connection that she has to a very nefarious group of people here. But let's go ahead and start off with this portion of the story here. Salma Hayek is doing I think it's like a Toronto Film Festival film tackling trans acceptance during a Christmas film. So there's a lot going on here. But the setup that Variety is giving us here is that in December, do I hear music going on in the background? Who the hell is?
Sorry about that. That's my side.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, who the hell is this? Yeah, so we have Salma Hayek here on Music City. On Mexico City, where fake Santas and karaoke machines and smoking mirrors.
Christmas.
Yeah, the flavor of Mexican Christmas, as you would know very well. But pretty much this is a film that they're producing for the Toronto Film Festival. Salma Hayek talked about the film, saying that we enjoy what we do. We take pride in what we do. So the last project we did, Santa Evita.
Santa Evita.
Evita, there we go. I think we won everything. No Pepe, she said. So I think Pepe refers to the producer here, Thomas, as well. So it says that we believe in projects that represent the community the right way, but we also make them think, make them feel proud in who they are. And we do, they said, we do it under a very challenging budget. So this is a film about a mother who's trying to accept her transgender daughter, Penelope. who is deciding to attend the Christmas dinner. Sometimes when the family gets together, you might not accept it at first, but then understand. But it goes. It's important to go towards the second step, that you're not just tolerating a loved one, but you're totally loving someone. She said about the film, and I'm trying to present 3 stories about love. Tim said, who's the co-producer on the film, the writer on the film as well, and it says that being a member of the gay community, it was a story that resonated with me, and I thought it could resonate with everyone regardless of your situation. So, as we talked about over the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of films with certain messaging that are getting a lot of praise right now, especially as we loop around towards Oscar season. And this is yet another film that's starting to get early buzz for the content that's producing here. But I do want to point out the fact, like I said, there's been a lot of stories about Salma Hayek over the last few months or so, but I think what a lot of people are missing here is kind of the elephant in the room. Remember a little story about Balenciaga late last year about how this very high-end clothing brand, which a lot of celebrities continue to endorse to this day, well, somebody did some digging into their ads that they were producing here, and you found a lot of disturbing content in those ads. You had here one promotion here that was putting in symbols of Baal worship. If you know in the Bible exactly what Baal worship is, a lot of satanic imagery that was shown in a lot of these imageries here. Here you have I guess a campaign here of a child. There's a lot of BDSM stuff that's being promoted here with children, which people was like, okay, what's going on here? You see even a picture of a photo here, and the photo is making a direct case to a Supreme Court case which upheld a federal child pornography law. So there was a lot of things that were being sneaked in by this very questionable ad director here, which, keep in mind, I believe he's still around to this day. I think they didn't actually get rid of him based on the things that were part of this campaign. But they initially apologized. They wiped their social media clean, and they kind of went silent there for a few months. But all of the, let's say, evidence of this very, very bizarre campaign that was targeted towards children that people saw are still very much on the internet. You guys can find a lot of references to this. And if you check their current social media feed at the moment, there's still a lot of very questionable stuff being shown on their promotion here. So it's been a few months. The heat's died down. I guess they're going back to business as normal. And you think to yourself, well, what does this have to do with Salma Hayek? Well, Salma Hayek is married to the guy who happens to be a very key figure in running this organization. So she has a, let's just say, a very direct yet indirect connection to this Balenciaga scandal that happened over the last few months. But every time you see Salma Hayek, it's always her about, hey, she's in a new bikini. Everyone, look at her breasts. They're still great looking at 55 years old. Just don't look at anything else that happened over the last few months here. So I don't know. I just felt like this whole thing was kind of like, oh, we're doing a movie about accepting trans people. Isn't that great, guys? And it's like, yeah, do you want everyone just to forget about what happened last year? Like, we just like we didn't know exactly what was going on behind closed doors there for a while. But Orange Hat, I'll start this one off with you. What is kind of your take on the Salma Hayek, I guess, the movie that she's promoting here, and her ties to the company that may or may not have been involved with promoting child sex torture and a lot of other stuff that they were caught doing a few months ago?
Well, for our last time I seen Salma Hayek that she looked any good was Banditas and From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, when I saw her in Eternals, I didn't even know that was her. As for this movie, the trans acceptance during Christmas, well, last time I checked, Christmas was a kind of a Christian Catholic holiday. And, well, that sort of mental delusion wouldn't really fly. As for the Balenciaga stuff, I made my points very much clear last year. This stuff should be eradicated, and I do mean in a very final, or with a lot of finality, because the stuff is not, or should not be allowed to continue, because it does involve children and sexual things, and we all know what I've been covering over the last few days. So yeah, I do not believe that that sort of stuff needs to be propagated at all. In fact, it should be eradicated violently.
Cassie.
Overall, I'm just tired of the bullshit peddling of, trans people must be accepted, blah blah blah. You did what you fucking did, and just it has nothing to do with me. So stop trying to force me into some fucking bullshit. At the end of the day, I just want to be left the fuck alone. If you're going to include Christmas in it, it's more so a fetish for them to bastardize everything traditional, and that's the way that most people are going to take it. So if you want trans acceptance, how about respecting what people, people's like values, what they, what they're all about. If anything, asking people to accept you after spitting in their face doesn't tend to fly. So I couldn't give a single fuck less about your movie and the whole Balenciaga thing. I remember it, and it seems that no one else has. I don't want to make any direct accusations, but I mean, when there's fucking smoke, there's fire, right? So
yeah.
I'm sorry, I misheard you, Cassie. I thought you said instead of movie that nobody cared about your boobies. I'm going, what? Salma Hayek's boobies.
I mean,
misheard.
When I think of Salma Hayek, I think of her butt in Wild Wild West. I don't think
Oh
about her
gosh,
boobs.
yeah, that was a big thing that my mom kept.
That was a big butt. You're right.
Yeah, that was the thing that my mom kept repeating. That's all she did, just show her ass to everyone.
She's a breath of fresh ass.
With regards to Madame Pinot, because I believe she prefers to be referred to as Madame Pinot. I will say she should really just first off apologize for Magic Mike, the whatever garbage that I had to watch, which for a brief moment was the worst film that I saw, but then I didn't count on Joyride. As for the movie that she's producing, The Flavor of Christmas, look, it's a niche film. A lot of these films, they think that they're doing something great, and was it Stunning and Brave by talking about trans and transgender, all this. But like Bros, it's a niche film. It does not have a wide appeal. I don't think that this is going to replace Miracle on 34th Street or It's a Wonderful Life or even Prancer as a holiday film for the whole family to gather around after they finish their turkey or ham. For the Balenciaga thing, I don't know if she's doing all this to kind of duck that, because I think, right or wrong, people have pretty much forgotten about Balenciaga, and I've never even heard of Balenciaga until this whole brouhaha came up. But I would just say for Madame Pinot, there's nothing of interest for this movie. There's nothing of interest in Magic Mike. There's nothing of interest in Balenciaga. I wish you well, and I'll just say this in Spanish. Ya para, mija, okay? Ya para. Ya para. Ya para. There. Cassie, Cassie will translate.
Stop it!
Like
Get some help!
Spanish. Yeah. Nah, cider.
I made it.
Like just
Yeah,
now?
I don't personally care about Salma Hayek. I wish everybody would leave children alone.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. By the
I did
way,
make
so
a typo, but I made it in like 2 minutes. So
yeah,
Mazel.
Yeah, like
when
I
you
said,
think of
that
Salma Hayek, you think of big titty Latina. When I think of Salma Hayek, I think of her connections to high-level child abuse. We are not the same.
Yeah. Her husband is the CEO of the parent company that Balenciaga is involved in. So, like I said, and she's known for going to many, let's just say, fashion shows related to Balenciaga as well. So she's still very much a promoter of the brand, even though they've been caught peddling a lot of demonic stuff over the last
Gee,
year.
guys, it's almost like the myth that women aren't pedophiles is a myth.
Mm-hmm. Remember that believe all women and the world would be better if we just put women in charge and like women are our heroes, stuff
well
like
in
that.
Barbie.
Mm-hmm. It turns out that was just a whole bunch of BS.
Well, and there's a more sinister aspect to it too, because women don't like competition. Like this is it's a good way to eliminate the competition. So, yeah. I mean that's probably that's one of the reasons why like super progressive women, I think, just love the trans thing. It's like, oh, yay, somebody will always be a lesser woman than me. That's
even that's not true, because I mean the trans
Yeah.
women are just smashing the real
outdoing
women
a
in
bunch
lot
of women.
Exactly.
Well, quite
I mean,
literally
like, you still
smashing
have,
the
like-
real women, like in the face, a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I meant like you have like the evolutionary biological edge where it's like, well, I can give someone children, you can't, but even if you're prettier than me, you know, it's some kind of like really interesting mix of an inferiority superiority complex. So
That's how insecurity presents itself, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The most insecure people are the most cocky, full of themselves, egotists, narcissists.
Yeah, well, it's not good, and it's like I said, like it's a way on some level to eliminate the competition, because women, I mean, the way that men and women have interacted is like women want the highest, what is the alpha male, you know, type of thing, and you know, men, I don't know, they do the opposite or something. So
we just outperform the other
It's like-
guy in wherever we can. If it's like wearing shorts in the middle of January when it's like negative 20 degrees out, and no other guy's doing that, we do that. That's where we're like, hey, we
Yeah.
could do that. We have something to offer the mating, breeding thing. Yeah. There's no pants in winter. Aha! You know, whatever we could do. Women, on the other hand, you just kill each other, like literally.
Well, then that's another thing too. It's like I'm who here actually saw The Sound of Freedom? Anyone here see that movie? So I know at least Rick did. But as you saw in that movie, it's like when we talk about these human trafficking organizations, people don't really talk about the fact that women play a pretty big role in those organizations, because they're the ones that usually are the first ones to lure these unsuspecting families to get access to their kids, because they think that, oh, if a female is in charge of this operation, that they're more comfortable or have their guard down with a woman more than they have with a man. And a lot of these criminal organizations know that. So it's, the women are usually the first person that they see before, you know, they end up getting your kids. So
I don't know
I mean,
about
the
that,
sex trade
Jacob.
has traditionally been run by a lot of women with the in the like the brothels.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think there's so many pictures with Oprah along with Harvey Weinstein and the victims that he had there? They're on there. Just go look at them.
Well, from what Jacob, from what I understood, the women were the freedom fighters. Did you not see the Woman King? They were all freedom fighters.
No, yeah. Well, I heard some other things about the Woman King, but I didn't hear they were freedom fighters. I just heard that they were, you know, killing their own people in their own villages and doing some pretty awful things to their bodies.
Well, like, why do you think that white women are so hated? I mean, because white women are like the basic.
Because they
template
fucking
for all
suck.
Women.
That's why.
Well, I mean, like, look at how Salma Hayek is just trying to erase her sins by covering, by going around distracting people and stuff. This is just white woman politics with a nice Mexican shine to it. So she wants you to forget about this other stuff, so she'll give you other stuff to talk about, and she's going to talk about things that are popular to talk about, and it doesn't really matter if it's
I'm not sure that I
something
was.
she believes or not.
I'm not sure I would be distracted by Salma Hayek dry humping Channing Tatum. I don't think that would distract me from whatever else she's done.
But I mean, like, it's like you got to pander to people. I mean, you know, you got to. Oh, look, here I am in a bikini, and I'm 55 years old. So look at me. So.
I mean, that's how they end up championing some of the most rancid fucking evil women, you know, especially nowadays. And it's one of those things where it's not even a race related thing. It's just wealth, you know, people that are wealthy. They tend to have more expendable money to do a lot of illegal things that makes them more money because, well, they're fucking evil. So.
Yeah.
Remember
People
this
just
story?
Yes.
Well, I'm kind of reminded a bit of, I don't know if my memory is accurate. I'm reminded of the movie The Master, which is not based on Scientology, where it was the Amy Adams character who was probably the more evil of the husband and wife. And she should have won Best Supporting Actress, by the way, for that movie.
When did Allison Mack get released?
It was like a couple years ago, I think.
I know, it was just a couple months ago. But yeah, people forget like Dostoevsky, right? So, or no, Solzhenitsyn. The line between good and evil runs through every human heart, and I don't understand why people think that men or women are somehow inherently better than the other.
Well, I saw Barbie, and I understand that the matriarchy is a great place, and Barbie Land is a happy world. And once they come over to our world, it's evil, and people will start slapping women on the ass like in 2 minutes of just
The
walking
problem
by.
with that is that it's still based in Marxism, and it's this physicality that's so obvious, and it's just the role of the imagined oppressed and the imagined oppressor have been swapped. So Barbie Land has its own issues.
And then you can see Ken came around and ruined that entire place in like 45 minutes. So
That's why he's on the ADL's list of hate now.
Is that a real thing now?
It's real.
But he will win. But Gosling will win Best Supporting Actor. It's already guaranteed, right? He's probably the only
no, because he's white. He's a straight white male. So no.
Yeah, he's a straight white male playing the representation of the patriarchy. They can't have him win. Everyone else in that movie is going to win except for him.
Irony is going to win
apparently
because
he's
they're
the only
hoping that
draw.
Emma Stone will win too. So.
Yeah, but maybe there's that too. God. Any final thoughts on this one before we move over?
Yeah. I'll explain why women there's a lot of this problem. Like I live up in Maine where like we do the whole gender blur thing, not on purpose. It's just everybody has to help or else you're gonna freeze to death, right? Yeah. That's why the joke I tell people is that you can't really, the only way you tell the men and women apart is that the women have prettier beards than men up here, They're pretty rough and tumble.
They're like the dwarves.
Yeah,
They're pretty rough and tumble around here. And the little girls learn how to shoot along with their brothers. They sell pink rifles at Walmart. There's no barrier up here, and that's why it's always mystified me why they want to cross over. So we had a person. My family used to run a taxi service. We had a person that went through transition, a girl into a man. And what we found out is that she was the second twin. So her lead sister had all the charisma, personality, desire, the extrovert, and she was the introvert. And so Big K got married, and so Little K didn't have an identity anymore. Couldn't be the shadow to Big K. Couldn't follow Big K everywhere else. So Little K decided, I'll just become a man, because being a man, I'm guaranteed an identity. I'll be assigned a place in a friend group, because that's how men work.
Yeah,
they're tribal like that. And so this Little K thought that becoming a man K would help her. But the problem is that transition got about 60% of the way through, to the point where Little K had like a mustache and, hadn't gone through a surgery yet, but, getting a little, soy boy looking, if you will. And it occurred to her that this was not the problem she was having. She didn't have an identity. And that's why women want to cross over into men, is because they don't feel they have an identity. Like men, we have the hunt, we have competition, we have the UFC, we have like this raw, like primal power still inside of us. And whereas like when you take a look at the female end of that competition, as I said, it's a lot more visceral. It's a lot less, there's a lot less camaraderie, there's a lot less competition, and a lot more elimination going on there. And so these women that aren't like A-type personalities, maybe down in the gamma female range, they want to become men because at least they can be beta males as opposed to gamma females. And that's where they're at, is that they feel more power becoming a man simply because having the masculine identity is guaranteeing you something to talk about, an identity.
Well,
and the sad thing is
that, like, psychologically, when you argue as like a couple, like you're arguing over a thing, but that thing is indicative of another thing. There's an issue behind what you're arguing about, and I feel like this is exactly kind of what's happening with our mental diagnoses. Yep. So
it's really true, dude. Like, I felt so bad when Little K started to detransition because it didn't happen like that.
Well, I mean, like, I took this into, like, I see this a lot with people who want tattoos. Like, I don't like tattoos. I don't like needles. I don't like pain. And I can only count like 5 or 6 good tattoos I've ever seen in my life. So, but it's like people want tattoos. Why? They want to be cool. They want to have an identity. They want to have some kind of marker that shows who they are. They want to honor some kind of milestone that represents who they are. And it's like, but like, you know, what if you end up regretting it? Or like, what if you change your mind about it? Or why do you need it if it's such an important milestone to remember? Like, you need a tattoo to remind yourself of this, and I mean, to
Take
show
a
it
picture.
off. Well, and it's kind of, and it is, for me, that's kind of where a lot of this stuff is coming from. It's like, oh, you don't want this. You want to feel special. You want to be special. You want this. You want attention. And you're lonely. You're desperately lonely, and you're insecure, and you're frightened by the real world.
I am not too sure about that, CS, because I do feel a little strange because I feel like I'm one of the handful of people at my church that doesn't have a tattoo. They're like visible and all around me. So I'm kind of the outlier.
Well,
and
I
I do go to a Baptist church, just for the
I'll
record.
tell you this. I made a pledge. I have no ink on me, but what I do want to do is that when I
Well,
do,
I mean, so I'm saying, like, I'm not saying it's necessarily the same thing. I'm saying it's similar to that, in that, like,
Well,
you
no.
want to be new and shiny, but you're not. It'll only be a little bit wild.
The theory
it'll be
I
a little
follow
bit
with
wild,
this,
and you want something else. The
But
stakes need to be higher.
the reason why people get tattoos in my generation, anyway, as millennials, is a two-pronged reason. Is they treat it like a battle tattoo, like the Maori did, or the Eastern Islanders, like Hawaiians. They tattoo things that are symbolic of the pain or struggle that they went through, of a personal battle. But we're so freaking paper thin, like getting through like a job at Subway. You know, you leave Subway on to a bigger job. You get like a 6-inch sub tattooed right over your heart because you were a Subway sandwich artist for 6 years or something. The strangest things end up tattooed to these people now because this is their battle that they've survived, that they've immortalized on their body. This is why what I'm doing is I'm telling people, no. When you have kids, this is the only thing to get tattooed to you. The only other thing in your life that's going to be important is your children. Get their names tattooed to you. If you must have art on you, that's my plan. I want a sleeve. I want so many kids. I go from shoulder to wrist. I can start over here on the other arm. That's what I want.
You want to look like Senator Fetterman. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but not like legalizing heroin and Frankenstein, you know.
Or brain dead.
Yeah. But that's all I have to say on it, Jacob, is that they just believe the mythos of the man, and that's why women want to cross. The men thing is a way bigger discussion. We'd need like a whole episode to get into that.
And it's strange that they would want to do this because don't they know that the future is female? Why would they want to transition from a woman to a man when the women are going to take...
This is the recoil to that intersectional feminism that blames men for everything. Is that you're going to get those women out there that are like, oh, wow. So if I just pretend to be a man, I get to control the world.
Oh, did I mention that in Women Talking, there is a transgender man?
Of course, why not? There's a transgender Barbie.
Yeah. So, yes. So just pointing that out, that the transgender man in Women Talking did not speak until this person was addressed by their preferred name, and then finally said, oh, the guys who are raping you are coming. That was basically her. I think that was,
Women Talking, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Best adapted screenplay, just for the record.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
That's exactly
Play must have sucked ass.
Well, look, let's spend the next.
Hold on
a second. Let's spend the next couple of topics just talking about how awful women are for a second. We're gonna hop over.
Well, we started with Salma Hayek, so you know.
Madame Pinot.
It's only gonna get worse from here. Yeah.
I don't think Salma Hayek is in a position where she can talk about this stuff with
like on some kind of moral high ground. So.
Yeah, she's probably a demon. Let's be honest there. But let's jump over to another demon, and Chris Evans. Chris Evans apparently got married over the weekend, or married in the course of the last week. I don't know, but he's married to some chick, and people are very, very upset about this because his wife is 26 and he's 42. And people were very, very angry about this. So this happened, I guess, September the 9th, very quietly tied the knots with this woman called Alba Batista, essentially. I have no idea who this chick is, but they did. So here's the thing. I heard about this wedding. Apparently, everyone who attended the wedding had to sign an NDA. And they also had to turn over their cell phones before they were allowed in the wedding. So it was a very, very extremely private ceremony that no one who attended is allowed to talk about in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. I feel like that probably should be the story there, but that actually wasn't the story. The story here is that he's 42 and she's 26, and hoes are very, very big mad. Now, if you guys were on social media over the last couple of days, you might have saw she's 26 trending on Twitter for some weird reason. It was because it was literally a bunch of posts of women screaming about the fact that she's only 26 years old. Why is he marrying someone like her? It's like, why can't he go find some woman his own age? And this is the meme that I love whenever like women complain about this. It's the old Stabler SVU meme. It's like, she was 26 years old, you sick fuck. It's like, it's this whole thing. It's like they treat like women who are like in their 30s like they're children, right? So if a guy who's like 45 marries a girl who's like 31, all of a sudden the 31-year-old becomes like a 9-year-old by comparison. It's like, why would you marry someone like her? Like, you're sick and demented. Here's what it really comes down to, and I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed this too, but this is what I've really noticed about this. Because I had this whole separate conversation with somebody else who is, let's put it in their mid-30s, who says that there's no good men out there. We've all heard this line before, especially if you've been on social media recently. And it's the complaint that there's no good guys out there. They're not mature enough. And where are all the good men at? Why am I still single in my 30s if it's everybody else's problem but their own? Here's why they're angry. Because when women, let's just say the age of Chris Evans or close to the age of Chris Evans, sees that he's marrying a younger woman, what you have to understand here is that it's not that, there's no good men out there. It's that these women have insanely high standards, and the average Joe, the average schlub, does not meet those standards. So she's not even considering dating somebody like you. Like, if you're a plumber who's only making like 60 grand a year, she's not even thinking about dating someone like you, because in her mind, her dream husband is Chris Evans, Captain America, someone who looks like Chris Evans, someone who acts like Chris Evans. Like, that's her ideal mate, and she'll wait until she's dying alone in a room full of cats until she can marry that person. But when she sees that her dream husband is essentially going after someone who does not look like her, who is not nearly as old as she is, they take it personally, because in their minds it's, oh, this is basically my ideal men rejecting me because you should be dating somebody like me within my age. So there's a lot of projection going on here where people are getting angry about the fact that Chris Evans married a younger woman. I'm not a big Chris Evans fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like all of a sudden he's a terrible guy because he didn't date some bitter, jaded 41-year-old woman who's still waiting for her dream man because she's rejected any other decent guy that's ever come into her life for the last 20 years. But that is kind of the way that I look at this whole situation and all these complaints about their age gap or whatnot. But let me ask you guys, and I guess I'll start here with Cider. Am I in the ballpark? Am I completely on the off the wall with this whole topic here?
Well, no, I am the product of a 30-year age difference. My father was 60 years old when I was born, and my mother was 30 when I was born. Okay? So, yeah, that happens. And there were people that really disapproved of that. My older brothers and sisters, the youngest of my father's first marriage, right, was 30 years old when I was born. Okay? So... Yep. They all had a big problem with my mother being as old as their baby sister, okay? And there was all this talk. Oh, he's up to something. He's a cradle robber, marrying a 30-year-old woman, having a baby with her. Again, like this whole, for some reason, the age difference is a problem. I mean, when I was younger, I was creeped out by it because I was thinking like, yeah, no, when my dad was 30, my mom was born, but but he didn't like. He wasn't there. He wasn't like, that's mine. Just gonna write my name right here on the back of it. All right, I'll see you in 30 years and stick a flag in that. That's not how it happened. They met at a truck stop, and he was like, "Oh shit, you're 30 years younger than me." Whoa, and that's how it happened. So
I mean, a woman in her 30s has obviously lived life. It's not like, oh, she's 18, she's stupid. Like a woman that's 30, has lived enough life to make her own decisions clearly.
Well, and I just wanted to bring this up to add to my point, though. Washington, D.C. has the highest ratio of unmarried women to unmarried men. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is just our capital as of 2019, mind you. Okay? I imagine this ratio has gotten even crazier since then. But basically 90 of every 100 unmarried people, 90 of them are women. Out of every 100 unmarried men, there are 90 unmarried women. Whatever. There's more unmarried women than men, and whatever. What I'm trying to say about this, though, is that this is what's happened. Like, take a look at the age group, though. Between 30 to 34 is the highest. It's the highest among the women.
Yeah.
So it's the wall. I guarantee you, the women that are bitching about Chris Evans getting married to a 26-year-old are all like, missed it by 4 years. I could have been Captain America's wife, and I missed it by 4 years. And that's driving them nuts. Because they know. They know. Like, my lesbian friend told me that men are like wine, women are like cheese.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think another big you definitely notice this with like modern women, like these women these days. And I know like the popular term is like incel, stuff like that, when we're talking about like men who are like getting laid or having like relationship with women and stuff like that. What people have quickly forgotten is like there's a lot of single, miserable, bitter women out there just as much as there are men. Like it's not just a male dominated problem that you're seeing here, but the issue here is different. It's not that these women can't find a good dude. It's like there's a lot of, let's put it this way, there's a lot of women in their 30s who are seemingly attractive yet are still single because they can't find a good man. Like I said, it's not that there's nobody out there that's willing, exactly right. It's not like there's nobody out there who's willing to date them because of their looks, because that's clearly not the problem there. The problem is really your attitude and your mindset and probably your personality as well here too as well. I mean, like I said, you've seen so many videos on Twitter and on TikTok about these women talking about their ideal men, and it's always this, oh, we want someone who's like 6 feet and
six.
Yeah, exactly. 6 figures and all of the six pack and just absolute like nonsense, right? And there was even like this woman who I'm not sure if you guys saw this video too, complaining about why are there no good men at the church? I'm at church and I can't find a good man. It's like, is there anyone out there who maybe looks like Tom Cruise or Jake Gyllenhaal? It's like, well, that's the problem. You're looking for Tom Cruise and Jake Gyllenhaal, and you think in your mind that if you just find like some billionaire out there who's like worth like, upwards of like 7-8 figures and stuff like that he's just going to take care of you your entire life, and you just bring absolutely like nothing to the table. And the problem is that the man who you want in your mind does not want you, because here's the thing, ladies. Like, if you just want a good man, you're going to have so many criterias out there for what you want in a man. A man really just wants 2 things at the end of the day. He wants someone who's going to be loyal to him as a wife, and someone who's going to be a good mother to his kids. If you can fit those 2 criterias, you can pretty much get whatever man you want at that point. But the problem is that a lot of these modern feminist women, they reject the idea of loyalty in marriage, and they reject the idea of being a loyal mother. So if you don't meet any of those criterias, what exactly is it that you bring outside of distance, irritation, and possibly alimony and child support at this point? Like, what exactly do you bring to the table?
STDs.
Oh yeah, great. So now I'm gonna be miserable and I'm gonna have chlamydia.
Well, I think
koala for that.
One of the things that I've talked about before with women, because like I married young. I've been married for almost 15 years, and I'm in my mid-30s. And but like so many girls like they think that men want the pretty girls, okay, so that's fine, you can be pretty, But at the end of the day, like when you're married and you're in the thick of things, you need to be a good helpmate. Like I know people don't like that because it's very religious, and I am very religious, so it works. But like I remember one time when we were moving, I had to clean out the entire basement by myself because my husband was pulling a double shift because of work. And it's like, like you're raised to be like a sex object nowadays, and instead of a bride. But I mean, like, you can't just be a bride either. You have to be a wife. You have to be somebody that can work and help. And, I'm in charge of like a million little things in the house while my husband goes out to work. And it's like, and he takes care of the big stuff. He made me steak for breakfast, but I have to do the dishes when he's done. So.
Yeah. And like I said, I think the problem is that a lot of women, you can argue since the sexual revolution, have just bought into this idea of what relationships is supposed to be and what their ideal male is supposed to be. And I don't know if it's fair to blame like the whole Disney princess generation, but there are a lot of women out there who just kind of bought into kind of like this fairy tale of what life is, and none of them are willing to admit that.
I have to reject that because I was one of those fairy tale princess people. Okay, and if you look at my family, understand that I married young and it was not like unexpected. But I do think that there's an element to realism that you have to acknowledge with real life. Is like,
yeah. And we've seen women like I think Tommy Loren did a video years ago when she was complaining about this whole situation. Like I said, there's a number of women, like it's becoming like more and more prevalent now, especially on these social media acts, of women making the same argument, and they're crying and they're unhappy that they can't find anyone. But then when you really get down to the nooks and crannies of it, it's like, well, I mean, the only reason why you're unhappy is because, like I said, you're looking for something that's just not there, and you're not willing to accept. I think who said this not too long ago? I think it was one of the chicks from like Pretty Little Liars, like Lucy Hale, had made this statement too, and she's been known to have like a multitude of boyfriends over the last 10 years. We can talk about her on another day, but she kind of like made this estimation that, well, she's not gonna like lower her standards to find a man who's not worthy for her. She'd rather die alone. It's like, okay, I mean, if that's your proclamation, good on you, but I mean, when that becomes a reality, then don't complain about it. Expect people to have, I guess, sympathy for you because you essentially made your choice, right? I mean, at what point does it comes down to like any kind of personal responsibility of how this whole thing plays out?
Well, one of the key traits like that distinguishes women from men is that we're called to like add beauty to the world. Now, we might not be physically attractive, or like there's a reason that I like my fat girl avatar,
Mm-hmm.
But we are supposed to help make the world a better place. And I don't mean better like Salma Hayek stuff here. I mean, like, we're supposed to we're the people that to clean the dirty diapers. We grow children to make more people, to bring more laughter and stories and fun things into the world. You know, you can have men build a kingdom, but only a woman will be able to help him perpetuate it. So, like the women who are getting mad at Chris Evans, if they're like, I want a man to be worthy of me, your worth will go down if all you're thinking about is yourself.
Mm-hmm. And this is why, like I said, all of these like manosphere channels are like blowing up and have such huge following. People are looking at like Andrew Tate and Pearl and all these other people, because it's like people act like that there's not like this large portion of the female population who really do expect that they're going to get like this, like this hedge fund manager who's making $400,000 a year, and they're gonna like bag this guy, and that's their like ideal guy. Where if you want to be happy, if you want to have a plentiful relationship, guess what? There's a lot of guys out there working, mid-tier jobs, bringing in decent money, who will probably be far more loyal to you and make you far more happier. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't want to date those guys, then it's like you can't have it both ways. I think people think that there's like a third choice out there, and there's really no third choice to be had here. So I mean,
we're not talking about Chris Evans. And honestly, look, if the femcells are upset at Chris Evans because he dated a younger chick, let Chris Evans get the smoke. He's the one that sides with these fucking losers to begin with. Y'all have the same fucking politics, so he deserves it. Fuck him. All right,
you know what?
Don't care.
Cassie brings up an excellent point. Why did he marry a woman? Why did he marry just one woman? Why
because
did he
this
marry?
is
Why did he marry a not brown enough woman? Okay,
Yeah.
we
Because
could talk
Chris-
about this all night.
Chris Evans a couple of years ago, I did a video on this. Basically, was yelling at everybody during the whole Pride parade. It's like, you guys are secretly gay. You just don't know. It's just come out of the closet, and it's like, you first. You.
Pretty much,
I
man.
didn't.
Like
Yeah,
if anything,
I
she's
didn't.
probably a beard.
I mean, chances are she does, and chances are, I mean, but as for her being fucking 26 and him being 42, that's what, 16 years? So, I mean, some people have that preference. Some people have a preference for older women. Some people have a preference for younger women. As long as they are both consenting adults, is there really a freaking problem?
Yeah.
Something about this has to be taboo.
It's not a Lolita type situation here.
I mean, look at Jackie Onassis, and well, look at Jackie Kennedy and Aristotle Onassis. A lot of people didn't have a problem with that.
Well, actually, I think they did.
Some people did, but they really didn't. But then Jackie O basically said, "Mind your own fucking business," and they minded their own fucking business.
Well, I think it also had to do with the fact that she wanted protection for her kids and privacy, which Ari could give her.
I mean, I always like to voice that Natalie Wood married her childhood fucking the person that she looked up to as a child, her childhood crush, which allegedly ended up killing her. So
Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
I don't think he did, but
I just think it's funny that the people that are like, love is love, suddenly have standards. So.
Well,
yeah.
26 years old is a Zoomer.
Yep.
Maybe Alba started out as Albo.
Well, all I'll say is that first, if he wants to marry someone who was not that big of an age difference, when you think about it, was 16 years, it's nothing. Though in full disclosure, there was only a 3-year difference with mine.
They're acting like that. Like I say, he did like a 12-year-old. Like this is not like a Liz Gillies situation we're talking about here. Like Liz Gillies, when she was on Victorious on Nickelodeon like 15 years ago, she started dating like the music producer of the show, who was like already almost 40, and she was like 16 at the time, and then they got married a few years later. It's like, okay, well, if you met her when you were like 15 years old and you were like 36. Okay, that raises some serious red flags here. But we're talking about like a 40-year-old guy who met like literally like a 26-year-old like woman. It's like, what are you even talking about here? What were you complaining about?
Well, all the women who are upset, I think, are upset because they figured, well, why isn't it me? The reason it's not you is because you said no to all these other guys, and you were expecting a Chris Evans, Tom Cruise type to sweep in and just take care of you. You were basically saying that you wanted a sugar daddy who put a ring on it. And there aren't a lot of sugar daddies who are going to put a ring on it. I guess I don't know if I can speak for myself, but let's just say that there are many women who would not even give me a glance, because I'm 5'7". I don't earn a great deal of money, though I do own my own house, just for the record, which I do pay heavy taxes on.
That's still an asset.
You should be more like than what you have too. You know, like when I got married, like I wouldn't have pictured me where I'm at right now. I wanted to be teacher of the year my first year of teaching. I hated teaching, so that was a surprise, believe it or not. So. But
you do it for the house.
That's exactly
would
why
marry
you
me
would
for
do
the
it.
house. Yeah,
that's exactly why you would do it.
I mean, like I said, if they're consenting adults, people should mind their own fucking business. Because
ideally, yes.
It's not, or I mean, do I find it cringe that a person is freaking tapping somebody that's almost half of their age? Sure.
I'm old enough to remember when Demi Moore married Ashton Kutcher, and we had this exact conversation, but opposites. So
yeah,
guess
I mean, folks, it's all up to the individuals. Now, he was now if he married somebody who was like 18, yes, there's consenting age. However, I would
feel like grooming.
Because it's no, not so much grooming. I would think that it is very inappropriate because at that point you are now over a 20-year difference and you're looking, or this is just not, or why would you go that young? I mean, because chances are as soon as she's like 23, he would drop her for another 18-year-old. That's when it gets creepy. But if you're
the Leonardo DiCaprio method,
for all the women out there, it's not a question of you quote lowering your standards. It's a question of you being realistic. There are very few men who are going to be 6 foot, make 60,000, and have a six pack. I mean, you're not going to find a lot of them running around. But you think that you are so worthy of worship, metaphorical if not literal, that you're willing to turn down guys like me who are 5'7" and who probably earn maybe 40. But in El Paso, that's a pretty good salary. So it's not a question of lowering your standards. It's a question of you being realistic. If you want to get married, and if you want children, assuming that you want legitimate children, not just someone to knock you up. Yeah, not some baby daddy.
Then in the making.
Some rapper who's going to kill someone and then sell million records with that. I would just tell you, it's time for you to accept that you're not a goddess. You're not going to have people worship, and you're not going to have all these men going around your house begging for a glance at your ankle. You're just average, just like I am. All right. It's just we're just two average people, and just accept that. Especially that video that you shared, Jacob, about that woman from church, and just for the who's upset that she can't find a man at church who also doesn't look like Tom Cruise. I would just say, first off, Madame, you have way too much makeup on. Yeah, you have way too much makeup on, and it looks rather freakish on you. So I would recommend taking some of that makeup off. All right, that is not appealing to me.
And I hate to break this to you, but doing a TikTok/Twitter video complaining about how you can't find any good-looking men at your church is not going to entice anyone to think twice about dating you in the first place.
And I'll bet you, if you
what we say in the streets is not a good look.
Yeah, I'll bet you that this girl, if she goes to a church and a guy asked her out, she'd say no. It doesn't matter, if he's like the pastor or like the youth pastor or what have you, she would say no because you don't look like Jake Gyllenhaal. All right, so
I don't even know where this is coming from, because I mean, we've talked about the Pete Davidson effect on women too. Women in their 30s and their 40s these days probably think they're like Kim Kardashian. They probably want the little dog that won't run away and that they could keep on a short leash, in their little bag. So.
Well, here's another thing. They all want the six-pack. Well, why don't you come over here and tap a keg?
I've lost 30 pounds. I've lost 30 pounds.
They got some fucking nerve.
I mean, the dad bod
got some fucking nerve wanting dudes that are in, tremendous shape, wanting dudes that make six figures. It's like, no wonder why you're an involuntary celibate, you fat fucking ignorant pig. It's just, it is what it is, bitch, and you deserve to be made fun of for it.
It's interesting that these women say that they want a guy who's 6 foot and six pack, but we also saw the movie where someone who fit that description is the embodiment of the patriarchy, and that would be Ken in Barbie. They didn't want him. They wanted something. They wanted, I guess, more like the American Ferrera husband,
Alan.
Yeah, they wanted someone like that who would be easily pushed around and be called out for his cultural appropriation. It's very confusing. It's very confusing.
It's far more common than you would think here, but this is going to parlay to just real quick.
Go ahead. Well, no, just real quick. think about how your church, I mean, if this is going on in a church where you are taught that you are valued and that God loves you and that he created you, that these women would actually think, oh, well, no, he didn't, he didn't create this guy because he doesn't look like Tom Cruise or Ryan Gosling. What kind of church would endorse that kind of thinking? And what kind of person who goes to church would go and listen to that message and say, yes, this is true Christianity, that God has to create a Tom Cruise for me?
Scientology.
Church of the Holy Uterus. Guaranteed.
Well, this is going to tie into our closer here of the night, because apparently even when you are married and you do have kids, you're still not happy with what you have, and you still yearn for more, which brings us to our closer here, which is Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas. Now, normally I wouldn't care much about either one of these two people because I don't like either one of them, but it does bring up a greater point that I wanted to talk about here, because Sophie Turner, just in case you guys don't know from like Game of Thrones and all the X-Men movies, I happen to know personally that she is a notorious drunk. And not only has it been this way for the last few years, it's been this way for the last several years. And yet still, this Jonas kid decided that he was going to marry this chick and make a wife out of her and make a mother out of her. Well, now they're filing for divorce. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of pull this one up here, because I know it seems kind of TMZ-ish, but there is a bigger point that here I want to make. So apparently, Joe Jonas decided that after watching some kind of a video and listening to some audio of Sophie Turner at their house, that this was the decision that he was going to make to divorce this woman. By the way, that is not what she looks like now. I don't know what she's done to her face, but she looks horrendous nowadays. Yeah, this is what she looks like now down here. Like, and these pictures can only be like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years apart, and she's not even like in her 30s yet. And yeah, I have no idea what she did to her.
Terrible. Like, even if you don't look. Even if it doesn't do it, it eventually catches up with you.
She looks like she had all the collagen sucked out of her face.
Yeah, and I know there's a surgery that I know me and Rob were talking about this because they had mentioned it on another show, but apparently there's like Hollywood actresses, young Hollywood actresses now that are getting like some kind of surgery where they're like literally taking like the fat out of their face and making them look very like just... I don't even know what you can even call that, but it just doesn't look human. It just looks bad. But the story here is that Joe Jonas is divorcing his wife after 4 years. Says that he kept her something, saying something or doing something that made him realize that his marriage was over. The story said that they've been on the rocks for at least the last 6 months, and they said it's a difference of lifestyle because Joan likes to stay at home and like raise his kids while she likes to party, and they have very differing lifestyles. Well, maybe you guys should have figured that out before you guys got married, because like I said, I know for a fact that she hasn't changed recently or over time, so I don't know if he thought that he can change her, but that was obviously not the case here. But yeah, it said that Joe's had the kids mostly all the time while Sophie's been in London. While Joe has been touring with his brothers with the 2 small kids, she's basically been in bars drinking like a fish, as like they like to say. And like I said, they're filing for divorce. They're all breaking up here. Now, this is why I wanted to talk about this story, is because there was a lot of people online that were using this story as kind of evidence to kind of like bash women and bash the idea of marriage. This is where I have to push back a little bit. Because it's the idea here that, see, even with women like get what they want, if they're married and they have children, that they're still unhappy, they're still going to leave you, and marriage is bad, don't get married, don't have a relationship, it's just all bad. It's like, pause here for a second. Don't use Sophie Turner as the benchmark of, let's just say, the modern successful relationship, because the reality of this situation here is that she has been an alcoholic for quite some time. I remember this had to be about 2015 where I was personally made aware of this. She showed up to a red carpet event years ago, and it was very, very clear that she was either hammered out of her mind or stoned out of her mind. And it's kind of a what let's call an open secret about her drug problems and her drinking problems that she's had for a long time here. But I guess they decided that, like a lot of people in Hollywood do, decide, hey, if we get married, if we had kids, and maybe that will fix our problems, instead of actually fixing the problems before we get the marriage and before we get the children here. So this is a woman who has, like I said, always been into the Hollywood lifestyle of drinking every single night, of partying every single night. Hasn't broken that. I think they tried to send her to rehab years ago. That didn't work out. I think she's refused openly to go to rehab multiple times. I know it doesn't help the fact that she's an insufferable liberal on top of that, but that's kind of besides the point for this whole conversation. Is that people were essentially trying to either condemn her by using her as an example of why a relationship don't work, but without seeing like the red flags that were clearly there before this whole situation started. Then you had really bad takes like this because everyone knows that she's a drunk and everyone knows that she has a very destructive personality. Yet someone, of course, tried to defend her. And here's a story from the Metro saying the Sophie Turner divorce saga proves that women still can't get drunk without judgment. This is a real headline by a real article by a real organization. And of course, it's written by a woman. Shocker, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read just a little bit of this because this one just made me put my head into my desk. Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas are all over the news thanks to their decision to get a divorce, but only one of them is being publicly shamed for apparently partying and drinking. Well, yeah, when your husband decides to divorce you because you're partying and drinking, people tend to think that maybe you're the problem in this scenario. She likes to party. He likes to stay at home. They have very different lifestyles, the TMZ said. Sophie has been doing cheap shots and enjoying the nightlife in the UK while Joe tours America, and the subtext has been that she shouldn't be doing this, or it's an act of debauchery. Well, if you're drunk, then yeah, it is an act of debauchery. I mean, that's just a fact. The sources said that the 27-year-old star, who looks terrible, by the way, wants to party and have fun, and given how fast she grew up as a young star, a bride, and a mother, but that begs the question, surely, oncoming divorce, of all things, letting your hair down and have a little boozy night with your friends, and secondly, Joe has been written about so extensively. Has he been seen out drinking? So she thinks, the right person who's writing this think the problem is that women can't go out there and get drunk and have a good time and without being criticized. It's like, well, yeah, if you're a mother of 2 children, you may want to, I don't know, cut the activities such as, drinking excessively and boozing it up in public, because you don't want to bring shame to your family and your children. That's kind of the whole point of growing up. It's like not everything's about you anymore, that these people seem to miss here. But it's like, it seems the booze gap is alive and well, with drinking as a woman still being seen as more socially controversial act. It's like, it's not the drinking, it's the drunkenness that gets you in trouble. You seem to be a disconnect there between drinking and drinking excessively, especially in public, where you end up getting in trouble. It said, this is something Hannah, a 20-year-old Londoner, can relate to. Oh God, this is gonna be great. My ex-boyfriend used to love drinking with his mates, but as soon as I drank with him, he became enraged, she remembers. He act totally fine about it around our friends to be the cool guy, but as soon as we get home, he called me loud and embarrassing, which probably means that you embarrassed him at some point in the night, that he had to call you out when he got home in private. But of course, she didn't approve of this. He says that he used to deliberately invite our share friend group out and call the other girls that would drink legends, and would emotionally blackmail me into not drinking, but consistently reminding me that he always liked classy girls. He never made any sense to me. By the way, so now we're talking about some other chick in this story that has nothing to do with Sophie Turner whatsoever. So right away,
she's making the connection.
Yeah, exactly, right? So essentially what we're doing here is that we're taking, well, here's how Sophie Turner is just like all of us. It's like probably not the best comparison here to make here, but the whole point of this entire article is that somehow we're, once again, remember that term mom shaming that we brought up with the Keke Palmer story a couple of weeks ago, how now all of a sudden I'm a mother, I can't have my fun, now that I can't go out there and dress the way I want to dress and act the way that I want to act. It's like, yeah, it's called responsibility as an adult. It seems like you guys have a problem with growing up and accepting the responsibility that once you become a wife, once you become a mother, it's no longer just about you selfish, you know what. I wish Rob was here because he would definitely say it right now, but God, Orange, I'm going to start with you here just on this whole situation. Well, what's kind of your take on, yeah, exactly, Josh. What's kind of your take on Sophie Turner and this whole situation with, her divorce and her drinking, and why this seems to be a fundamental problem in a lot of relationships that people don't want to admit to?
Well, it seems that Game of Thrones really fucked this woman up. But when it comes to the drinking and stuff, maybe the reason why Jonas is kind of saying that maybe you should fucking lay off the drinking a little is because she has a fucking drinking problem. And when you are a young parent and you have kids, and if those kids are young and they need their, because when you got kids that are between newborn and 4 years old, they need you more than you need a day away from them. Yes, there are parents out there that love to have the kidless day where they can escape and do their little fucking play dates and shit. I don't support that, because here's the thing. You decided to have kids. You don't get to have those fucking things, because here's the thing. Those kids need you. They need to understand and build and learn from you. Having a freaking, I don't know, a nanny or whatever, freaking taking care of these kids all the time, they're going to imprint more on the nanny than they are on their own freaking parents. Then they're going to create a whole freaking problem. That's another risk when it comes to kids and young, or having marriage and children young. Now that's not always the case, because obviously there are exceptions, C.S. Johnson being one of them. But the thing is, this woman had a freaking drinking problem, so she should probably fucking go to rehab, and they should probably freaking let her fuck up. Here's the thing. Let her fuck up. Let her self-destruct. Because eventually either two things are going to happen. She's going to end up in jail, or she's going to end up in a grave. And if she ends up in a grave, she's the next fucking Chris Farley. If she ends up in jail, well, she'll probably end up like Chris Farley before he ended up in the grave. But the thing is, people like this, they can't be helped unless they freaking want the help. And when they want the help, they are going to be wanting it after they hit rock bottom. That is what needs to happen with Sophie Turner, because all this, I just want to freaking drink and fuck all the time. Guess what? Reality is going to set in, honey. You're not as pretty as you used to be, because you took all the fucking fat out of your face, and now you look like a 50-year-old J.K. Rowling. So I'm sorry, that ain't hot. And no offense, but most celebrities, when it comes to, oh, she's just hot, and it's like, yeah, but the personality fucking sucks. Nobody's going to want to sleep with somebody whose fucking personality is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's not all about looks.
And I want to point this out here too, because somebody actually just reminded me of this. I completely blanked on this years ago. I think it was 2016. She was at one of the Comic-Con appearances for Game of Thrones that year, and I believe they actually did catch her drinking on the panel. So this problem has gone back notably, at least 2015 is when I first noticed it. But even there, because I was at that event, and I completely forgot about the moment where she got caught literally on a panel, like drinking. I think she was drinking some kind of like martini or vodka or something like that. But yeah, so this problem with her and alcohol goes back for years. Now here's the other side to this too, because people are thinking, oh, we're just slowly blaming her. No, in all honesty, I really am blaming Joe Jonas for this. Like I said, everyone has known about this for years. Everyone has known about her drinking problem. If the public knows about it, you know that the people close to her have known about it for quite some time. And despite that, he still decided to propose to this woman, to marry this woman, and to have 2 kids with this woman, knowing that she's had a problem this entire time that has never been in any way, shape, or form tried to rectify this situation whatsoever. So this is just as much Joe Jonas's fault than anyone else. These two should have never been together in the first place. If you knew that she was a partying wild child before you met her, I don't know why you thought that getting married was going to change the situation here. And this is what happened to a lot of guys. And this is kind of why I was pushing back on the original of this story, is that a lot of people try to act like that. Look, sometimes, oh, well, she just changed on me. This is not one of those times. It was very obvious, the red flags here. You just simply chose to ignore him. And then all of a sudden, well, now you have to deal with the consequences because you didn't see what was already there and readily available to you right from the jump here. So I wanted to throw it out here that it's just as much as his fault in this whole situation. And now you have to deal with 2 kids and a whole fractured situation. It's bad enough you're already in Hollywood as it is too. So no one in this whole picture is going to make the situation any better for the kids involved for the next few years. Let's put it that way.
It's also funny that you said she drinks like a fish. Turns out she's a Pisces.
Well, there you go.
But also, you said 2015 she got caught drinking and shit at the Game of Thrones thing. That would have made her like fucking 19. So what's the legal age of drinking over in Europe?
The UK, it's like 16. So it's very that she's probably been drinking since a young teen. So
then she's going Chris Farley route. I'm calling it now.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. I mean, she wouldn't be the first, especially in Hollywood. But
in these types of situations, and I've mentioned this, I think, sadly, in other types of situations, I feel for the kids who are going to have to lose one parent at least, and due to this, due to other people's inability to control themselves, be it through actual addiction or just selfish behavior. This article that was talking about how it's unfair that she gets judged for drinking while he goes on tour. That tour, right or wrong, as much as I may dislike whatever music the Jonases make, that's his work. He's out there basically working to support his family. What is she doing? She's going out there boozing and brawling and cavorting, frolicking, whatever you want to call it.
And whatever incident at this house happened that made him file the divorce papers in the first place. I don't forget that too. So,
yeah, but again, I think you are
18 or 16. I thought it was 16, but he might be right. I think it's 18. Sorry.
I'll say that Joe Jonas did not go into this blind. He should have been aware that there were problems, and I don't know how long the engagement was, but we went into this knowing what kind of person this person is. And to be perfectly blunt, I really don't know who this Sophie Turner is. For the first few times that I saw the story, I thought it was Sophie Tucker. So you see that to tell you what I know of.
And at that hairline, it might be Sophie Tucker.
Yeah, but at least Sophie Tucker could sing. I will say that I feel, again, in these types of situations, I do feel for the children more than anything else. They are the ones who are going to have to endure not just the loss of their family, but they're also going to have to see the stories and the pictures in the future. It's like when you find out that your mom is doing OnlyFans things. That's not a good look. So again, I just feel for the kids, but I'm an optimist. I hope that she pulls herself together, because I never wish ill on anyone. And as for Joe Jonas, well, I wish him well too, even though I don't know. I really don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between Joe, Kevin, and the other one, Nick. See, I don't know any of them. I mean, I wouldn't know which was which.
I mean,
but bless them. Best of luck to them.
I mean, look, dudes be out here trying to marry younger chicks, and look, that's your prerogative. But the Johnny Depp effect clearly is a thing. Johnny Depp thought, oh man, I'm gonna marry this young bitch right here. I'm gonna have the time of my life, and look at the fuck happened. Oh, you had the time of your life, buddy, in court. So I mean, look, I really do think that what's his face in the last story is probably gonna end up in the same scenario in like 5 years. Yeah, Chris Evans will probably end up in the same scenario in 5 years, because you marry these young, mostly Gen Z or like young millennial bitches that feel they're these feminist retards that think that they deserve to be treated, pampered and all that, but they also think they deserve to go out and sleep the fuck around and treat you like shit and all this other and disrespect not just you but your children, your family, all that. They think that that's completely okay to do that because you choose to marry these young women that have no morality at all. And you know what? I don't care. You deserve it. Good luck to you, buddy boy. It is what it is. You chose to marry women like this, so I don't care.
Well, it's curious that I think Johnny Depp's partner, Vanessa Paredes. I'm not exactly sure her name. I don't think they actually legally married. They were just in a long-term relationship where they had 1 or 2 children. And
I'm
it's
talking
curious
about
that
I'm
he
talking
would,
about his most recent
but
Amber
no,
Heard.
with Amber, with Amber Heard, he was willing to marry her, but he wasn't willing to marry Vanessa. I think his longtime partner, who is the mother of some of his children, and whom they were together much longer than he was with Amber Heard. It's bizarre why he would choose to legalize one relationship and decide to just be common law with the other. I don't understand it. Right. So is this when she's boozing up?
Yeah, so this was 2016's Comic Con, and they literally caught her on stage. As you can see here, she's sucking a little, I think it was a lime from a tequila shot that she took while she was literally live on the panel during Comic Con. This is 2006. This is the year before she got engaged to Joe Jonas. So, like I said, there's no argument here that he didn't see this coming. So.
And again, I mean, why do people willingly make public? You're on mute, by the way, Orange. Why do people opt to make public spectacles of themselves? I mean, it's one thing if you have an alcohol addiction. All right, I would just encourage you to get treatment, or to start go to an Alcoholics Anonymous group. But if you don't care, there's a difference between being an addict, having an alcohol dependency issue, and just not caring and being so self-indulgent that you're willing to appear publicly intoxicated at events that people pay to see you at. So I'm just perplexed at that kind of behavior, and I'll just say, really, just. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. This is a case where I would say, think of the children. As much as I joke about that, think of the children. Think of your children.
Yep.
I think this video was posted after she had her first kid.
Alex Morgan, all those haters that are saying that this was disrespectful, I'm honored that you thought of me, and all those people that are hating on you are probably sitting at home, millennials drinking kombucha. And I'm really fucking proud of you, Alex Morgan. Congratulations on your win. And that's the motherfucking tea.
Okay, who's Alex Morgan?
Yeah, she can't even keep her eyes open when she's drinking. That is a very big fucking problem.
I think
That was very
almost
cringe.
I think almost everyone here has behaved in an embarrassing manner at least once in their lives. So I understand that we can be foolish, but
she wouldn't if the next day if she looked at that clip again, she said, "Hell yeah!" Like, I'm all about that's the motherfucking tea. Yeah, you a clown ass bitch. That's just what it is.
We need to ban British people from saying motherfucker, just all together. Just ban it because it sounds wrong.
You could have just stopped at ban British people. And I would have agreed.
Yeah,
still.
I was definitely on board with that.
Oh, come now. If that were true, we wouldn't have the wit and wisdom of the Duke of Sussex over in Montecito with his American starlet who dreams of
Get the motherfuckers out of here.
Put them on a
God
boat.
damn it, we
sailing,
left that
warm.
fucking country to come live here. Why the fuck are they coming back over here? Get them out.
Because she wants to run for president.
Kill me.
I mean, I didn't like the first British invasion. You think I liked the second or the third?
This one's even worse than those.
Well,
Exactly.
I'll say this for Sophie Turner. I feel sorry for her. So
Someone asked you.
Well, you're religious, so that's obvious.
You have
Well,
a good heart. You have a good heart, CS.
Nobody goes into marriage wanting a divorce, not unless it's some kind of psycho romantic comedy sort of plot. Okay. But I mean, like, you want to believe in the best in the other person, and that when you roll the dice, it'll come out a winner. So it doesn't always matter if you have problems. I mean, like, there are some things that you just can't change about other people. I mean, yeah, there's definitely some things you do change, but you hope to change together in a way that you grow together and you grow closer together. And it's just, like I said, it's very tragic. And then, of course, the fallout is all going to be on the kids, I think, in many aspects, because that's just how feminism works. It's all about you. It's all about you. You can have it all, girl. And that sounds so wrong coming from me. But you can have it all. But if you don't have it all, who's going to pay for it? And unfortunately, it is the children in this case. So.
Yeah, I think I think it was I don't know if people like her here, Dr. Laura Schlesinger, who wrote a book, and I think one of it was marriage is not advanced dating. So marriage is an actual commitment, hopefully lifelong. It's not like, okay, we're moving up, we're going to escalate our dating relationship into just living together, sleeping together, and just going through the motions. For the past couple of weeks, my pastor has been going on about this whole thing about, I don't, why that whole thing, I don't need a piece of paper to prove I love you, is just so idiotic. And I think that's the case here. And marriage is more than advanced dating. And this is what Miss Turner and Mr. Jonas appear to believe, that it was just the next level in a dating relationship, that it wasn't actual commitment to each other and to not make fools out of themselves in public.
Well, I mean, and on the other side of it too is like men want a good woman. They want the woman that they love to be the woman that they love forever. When
and women want a Christian Tom Cruise. And by the way, for the record, ladies, Tom Cruise and I are the same height.
Yeah, but he has a few years on you though. But here you go. Hey, here's another one. I think this is earlier this year. I think they said this is early this year at the Rangers game in Madison Square Gardens.
Look at that wine.
Chloe, what is it with her? She's a wine mom. She's a literal wine mom.
Well, I will say too, like there's a lot of pressures. There are a lot of different pressures that come with marriage and children that I don't think a lot of people expect. I mean, when we talk about happily ever afters, a lot of the times it's like, oh, we had our first kiss, like the Disney princess thing, like Jacob was saying. The real tragedy of feminism is that we didn't get any after the marriage. Or I keep saying I want a movie about where Belle has to teach her ADD son how to read. Well, sit down and read, honey. No, that's boring. I want to get the swords out, Mom.
Yeah.
Those are unexpected things, and then they do come from very different lifestyles and different cultures, so that will add to it. I'm sure the in-laws were both looking at this and saying, see, you knew this wasn't going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Besides that, it's like, look, the moral of the story is that if you don't take your commitment seriously, then this is only going to be the only logical conclusion of this whole scenario. And I just wish that people would understand that before they get into these situations here, as we don't just avoid these type of situations altogether. But because I know I'm asking for like morality and common sense from Hollywood, and that's like the last place you want to ask about it. But like I said, let this be a warning to a lot of other people out there. It's like when you see blatant red flags, actually take them seriously. Like, don't just think that, oh, well, she's cute or she's hot now, because that's going to end up causing you so much problems down the line. I think people don't really think things through, which is exactly why we end up in situations like we have here to begin with. But
I appreciate you pushing back on it, because there are people that are like, just give up, man. Women suck, or just give up, ladies. Men are pigs. And it's like, no.
We've established here in a couple, in what, the last story or the other ones, that there are a lot of us here who would like to be married and who would like to have a long-term relationship, but it is the other side, who are very resistant by saying that no, even though we can provide you with a home and a lifelong commitment, we're looking for the hot guy. We're looking for a better guy. And in answer to Spencer's question, I'd love to be in a relationship, but they're looking for a hotter guy. They're looking for someone who's much better than me, because they can do much better and they deserve great guy who's 6 foot, $60,000 and a six pack. 3 things that I do not have. Unless I have surgery.
Yeah, if you're asking for an answer to your question, I think most of us have at least been in one relationship here. I think Cider can accuse to what he's
Been
about to say
engaged
here.
3 times and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, countless girlfriends and dates in between.
Fucking been in like 3 or 4 relationships by now.
What's your question?
I've never
I'm
shacked
married.
up. If that's the question, I've never shacked up. I've never shacked up.
4
with
relationships, Bob.
Yeah, which kind of mentality is not helping?
Yeah.
Come
well,
on onto the stream. Come on onto the stream. We're all now
Yes,
curious.
come on and talk with us,
Yeah,
Spencer.
come on onto the stream.
I don't think I've ever talked to you face to face anyway. Come on.
And you're still not going to because you haven't revealed your face.
Yeah.
Define
I'm married,
relationship.
so I'm in a relationship now.
Define relationship. Are we talking like dating someone, getting engaged to someone,
Living in the
with
same
someone?
house.
Yeah.
Be specific.
Impregnating someone. I mean, define relationship.
Yes. Don't give up. Don't give up. You have to believe in happy endings in order to get one. And I'm not being gross there, okay?
No. Okay. No, that's
All right,
not what
well,
that's what the women are saying. I mean, we
Yeah.
covered this in the last story. That's what the women, and even a woman who says that she's looking for, why can't she find a good man in church? That's what she literally said. I mean, those we're not telling any tales out of school. That's what she literally said, and I would just say she had too much makeup.
Yeah, like even Lauren Chen just did a whole 20-minute video regarding this topic not that long ago.
Well, if he's breaking it down to that one, then yeah, or committed girlfriend and whatnot, that would be 3 relationships instead of 4.
You don't have to raise your hand, Cider. It's not class.
My sister and I get into this fight all the time. She was adopted, so we're roughly the same age. She has a son, and the father is, they're not on good terms, but they're trying to co-parent while they're not living together, yada yada. She is the men suck, there's no hope, and other men have to fix all men forever. So we get into this fight all the time, where she's placing women on this plateau where there's nothing wrong with them, that they've evolved into these creatures that are simply frustrated with the limitations of men, and this is why they misbehave and cheat. All these other terrible things. It's a big product of men simply not keeping up. And so when I try to point out what's happening in this, for this very situation right here, it becomes a more defensive situation where women haven't made a mistake here, that Sophie Turner hasn't made that mistake. I want to make sure it wasn't Tucker because we got that mixed up earlier. But so where she, and again, this would be her position, is that obviously she's stressed out. She's coping with the problem. Joe isn't being a good husband by making sure she has a place to vent whatever's wrong with her. So she's taking it out on alcohol, basically throwing the responsibility of the problem off of her. Now, quite obviously, she has a problem. She's making TikToks that are not becoming of a woman who is a mother and a wife. Now, I'm sorry. I know there's women who get blasted on the weekends at NASCAR, and I don't like that as much as I don't like Sophie doing this. My first fiance dove into wine really hard toward the end of our relationship. I was really sick, and I was off on my own little, oh my God, I'm going to die journey. And so she just kind of went off on her own. We're going to line the walls of our apartment with wine bottles journey. And that's what happened. We stopped communicating. She was too boozed and I was too off on my I'm gonna die journey. And so
she was far too much into the lush life. That's what you're saying.
Look, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if you want to be, if you want to drink and that's your casual pastime when you have free time, then I don't hold that against anyone. It's more so how you go about it. She seems to casually flaunt having, drinks in her hand all the time. And it's like, if you don't want this stereotype of being a drunk wine mom, I mean, don't live up to it. Don't broadcast it on social media. I mean, the problem with the general individuals like that are, happen to be celebrities nowadays is that what little privacy they could choose to have, they just throw it away, and they double and triple down on this lifestyle and that it should be normalized. And then when things go south, then they're crying the blues. But I mean, look, it seems as though Sophie Turner herself specifically did something that her husband found out about, and I don't know what that is, but it seems to be serious enough for him to say, "Nah, enough's enough. I'm good." And so it just is what it is at that front.
Well, it's interesting. We had this story last week with, was it Keke Palmer, and now
back,
and then now Sophie Turner. Both of them are mothers who like to go out and drink and just be very self-indulgent, and somehow the men who are the fathers and who are working and trying to raise kids, they're the bad guys for wanting a wife or a partner to be with them and not embarrass their kids and not embarrass themselves. Somehow it's more liberating for the woman to dress very scantily and to appear drunk publicly than it is to stay at home. We're not saying that they have to stay at home all the time, and I have no objection if a woman or a guy want to go out, for an evening, or just go out for a weekend with the guys or a weekend with the girls. I have no issue with that. I have an issue when you decide, hey, I'm going to go out, I'm going to party, I'm going to flirt with other guys. And you get to stay here while I get to do what I want. But if you want to do it, then that's wrong. I'm perplexed by that kind of thinking.
And then I think this is a big problem, especially in the Hollywood bubble too, is that there's nobody in that bubble who's going to tell any of these women that, hey, what you're doing right now is destructive to your relationship and destructive to your family. Like we talked about this for several weeks with Keke Palmer about how so many women within her circle and on social media was propping her up, saying that she did nothing wrong and that it's all his fault and that it should be mom shaming her and all this old nonsense. So she's living in this delusional world where nothing is her fault, that everything's her man's fault, because that's what the world's telling her. I'm pretty sure there's people within Sophie Turner's camp that's doing the exact same thing. Like, you think any of her close friends on the Game of Thrones cast is telling her that, hey, look, you clearly have a problem with drinking and it's destroying your relationship. You need to get help. You need to stop. Is anyone giving her that conviction that's actually going to make her get to a point where she's going to turn her life around, at least look at her life and be like, hey, you know what? I think I do have a problem, and in order to save my marriage, in order to save a relationship with my kids, I need to get help so we can turn this whole thing around. If you're just around people who are going to tell you that, oh, it's everybody else's fault, and you don't have to change anything that you're doing, or everything you're doing is not that bad, are you ever going to change as a person, or are you just going to keep doing the same thing that you're going to be doing for years and years and years?
Look, I got a perfect example of this. My third fiance wanted to invite a woman into our bed to make it a 3-person situation, okay? And I don't do that. I said no to that. We're not doing that. And our relationship eroded from there. And because she couldn't have her way, she just went off and did it. She broke off our engagement, broke off everything. Excuse me, took her son that I had bonded with. A great feeling having that walked out of my life. But so she just went off. And of course, now 8 years later, I stopped by her Facebook and she's still single. The kid's 12 or 13 years old. He has no interest in her whatsoever. They're like, all the pictures they take, he's like, just get away from me. You're gross. And she's just miserable. There's no light in her eyes anymore. She got what she wanted. And
I've known so many people, especially when I was in California and San Diego, which is another reason why I just got out of there. I've known so many women, and you probably know the type, the one that have one too many orange bottles in their medicine cabinet and one too many wine bottles in their kitchen. And that's not a great combination of purpose. And I've tried to smarten people up to a lot of bad decisions. There was one chick that I remember who was really dying on having kids. So she just wanted to rush into a relationship with the first guy that came along and had her kid. And I was trying to tell her that's not a smart idea. You can't just force a family to happen. It's not going to work out the way you think. And lo and behold, well, she found the guy. She got pregnant, had a kid, and boom, less than a year later, they were divorced. They're going through custody battles. She wants to move to the other side of the country, but he won't let her because he still has visitation rights. It's like you've created a complete mess for yourself.
Let me give you a bigger mess, right? Okay, imagine that happening, okay? Then she meets a guy like me. This happened to me. I dated a girl named Carolyn. She came to live with me with her daughter. We were doing great. We were doing fine. She tells me about a month and a half living with me. She tells me, I want to put the baby up for adoption because all I can do is think about her father and not our future together. And I was like, Isabella and I, like, she sleeps on my chest. I'm the one up at 2 a.m. feeding your goddamn baby, and you just want to Tom Brady that out of your life?
Yeah. Yeah, and apparently you're wrong for pointing that out. Apparently we're just being too
she left, so I was wrong. I don't know what became of her daughter. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's gotten to, oh God, what is this? What the hell is this?
I will say, like, I wish more men in her circle. I mean, she's famous and they know she's married. Why are all these men like encourage? I don't know.
You can't challenge a woman, least of all a famous one. Holy shit. Look what happened to that guy who literally was like, hey, I don't want my baby mama out there rubbing her butt on some other guy in 4K. Like, he got demolished for just saying, hey, don't set a bad example for our kids in like 4K.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Accountability and responsibility are apparently bad things to enforce here in 2023. People wonder why we're in the shape that we're in right now.
Look, that's why I like Ken's message. The you are enough message. No, really, I'm serious. You are enough to begin your journey going where you want to go. Young men, at least in my age group and under, this is 33 and under. I have this experience. I've talked to younger men than me. I used to mentor teenagers. This idea is you have to get a girl on your arm before you're a man. You have to either have a wife or several side bitches, or you're not a man. You're not qualified to be your boy if you're not like arm deep in women all the time. And so Ken's message is just get started on your life. Whoever's supposed to be over here on your right arm, your right hand woman, that lady will find you. You just build what you're building, do what you're going to do, and that lady will be attracted to that light. And likewise, she will have been busy building her life, so she'll have something to offer yours rather than, lol, you're so funny. I'll suck your dick after breakfast.
Well, one of the things that people talk about in literary circles is the differences between a Mary Sue and a Gary Sue. Or, it's like basically this overpowered fantasy type character, right? And the main difference is that Mary Sues are born, and while the Gary Sues are made, I guess. And it speaks to that very fundamental biological difference, and that it's kind of what you're touching on there, Cider, is that like men become men by action. Women just get their period. It's very passive. So
no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, CS. Men can get periods. Men can get periods now. Okay?
Well,
that's another.
There's a lot of estrogen in the water, I guess. So.
A lot of
the friggin' frog's gay.
Like we're gonna be here all night talking about this whole thing, but I guess my final thoughts on this whole topic is like, look, women, you have to live in the world of reality. If you fight reality, you're never gonna be happy. The next thing you know, you're gonna be the next girl on TikTok crying that she can't find a man. And men. If there's red flags in a relationship before it gets serious, if you don't address them, they're not going to get any better. Don't assume that a ring and a kid is going to fix your problems, because it won't. It'll only make them exponentially worse.
Yes.
This goes for both men and women. You cannot fix the other. All right? You cannot fix the other.
Yes. And also bodily mutilation will not fix your problems either, probably. So.
Yeah. Definitely not.
Same thing.
So, any final thoughts on here before we wrap this one up?
I prefer
Sophie Turner's a crazy bitch.
I prefer Sophie Tucker.
I'm not playing no sucking Turner video.
I I hope that everybody who reads this will like vow to become a better person than this.
Yeah.
So,
like at the end of the
don't
day,
do this stuff.
take a relationship seriously. Like, don't just like I say, you're not kids anymore. This isn't the 8th grade. Take it seriously, and if you're not getting anything out of it, it's better than just walk away now rather than create a multitude of problems for yourself that you're going to carry for the rest of your life. That's only going to make you more unhappy.
All right, just remember that your kids will be watching more so Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas's kids, who will have whose parents' behavior will be out there for the world to see for time and eternity. It's bad. I mean, it's something like when we know about our parents, but now their pictures are not posted up online, and when they were dating or doing all sorts of other things. Here they are. So always remember, if you have children, your responsibility is to them. It's not about yourself anymore. It's your kids. Your kids will have to take precedence over your own enjoyment. It doesn't say that you can't enjoy a night out, but if it's every night, every weekend that you're boozing and going out there, just making a fool out of yourself, that's an issue. That's a very terrible issue, and something that you shouldn't put your kids through.
And here's the thing: if you're a stan of either Keke Palmer or Sophie Turner at this point in juncture, all I have to say is,
have 3 words for you. Go yourself. It's pretty good.
And
where's my walker?
Jesus, they got old.
Kane's like, I need my walker. I'm gonna fall over.
I
One
go
with the
back and
tennis
be
ball.
the mayor.
That didn't even look like Kane anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're both in like their mid 50s now. It's not 1998 anymore. So, but that puts the bow on this podcast here. Another week of the Ballroom Podcast in the books. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Let you guys promote whatever you got coming up. So we'll start off with Orange Hat. What do you got coming up?
Well, tomorrow night I'm on my friend Mara's channel with Ones and Twos. We're doing Evil Dead. And Thursday, we're talking Dracula Untold on the single, same time on my channel. Sunday, me and the Hat Crew are talking Captain Marvel from the MCU, or from the Infinity Saga. Yeah, I know. And Tuesdays, I'm doing Tuesday theme streams. Next week is Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yeah, other than that, I'm getting content out as best as I can.
All right, then hopping over to Rick. What you got coming up?
Yeah, just more reviews and more haikus, and yeah, still coming much closer to deciding to run for District 7. So I'll keep you posted if I decide to enter politics.
Yeah, you keep showing up on this show. You ain't gonna have any chance of politics. Keep telling you that, but
We talked about the Talmud here. That's a good way to not get elected.
Did you hear about that woman in whatever state it was? She just got outed as a freaking sex worker.
Yeah, but trust me, if I tried to do that, people would pay for me to put my clothes back on.
Agreed.
Actually, that might be a good fundraiser. I will first say I will appear completely nude for you, and you paid me money to keep putting more and more clothes on. So
yeah,
I will
run as a nudist.
Yeah,
run for the nudist party.
Yeah, I will earn millions of that. I'll be the reverse OnlyFans.
Okay, we're cutting off this endorsement. Johnson, what you got coming up?
Nothing much. I'm good. Just buy my books, everybody. Thanks.
Is that it?
That's it.
So we gotta work on your sales pitches. I mean, it's just
I'm
embarrassing.
not really, I'm very tired right now.
Anyway, Cider, what do you got coming up?
I just do stuff on the Dank stream, and I stream occasionally on my channel. But I found a bot on Discord that takes your Midjourney stuff and does the face swap with it. So it was pointed out to me by people that were, I was just posting this in the Holy Legion, and I should make my own self-insert comic the way that Andrew Tate did, where I'm just this cool guy that does cool shit. So I was like, yeah, I'll be like this inexplicable white guy in Japan that wears pink kimonos and has a samurai sword, and then transforms into a Power Ranger.
Don't fix the hands.
You're the next to the last.
And then from the
samurai.
Power Ranger, he turns into Batman. And then
Sure,
from
why not?
Exactly.
Hot pink Batman. Why not? Whatever. It's manga. But yeah. So that's just what I'm up to. I'm just screwing around trying to figure out just something to entertain people with because I'm bored. Life's boring.
Why are you pink? Who are you, Vegeta?
No, it's
No.
Ken, you dum-dum.
No, you see, kings and emperors used to wear pink. It was around the time that America started corporatizing the birth colors that they decided boys were blue and girls were pink, and that was the end of boys having anything to do with pink.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a conspiracy from Big Blue. Cassie.
Well, it's a good show. I just dropped a video today laughing at PlayStation fanboys that don't understand that you can't land on gas giants, in space and whatnot. But apparently they don't know anything about that. So if you want to laugh at that stupidity, go check that out. I got the Two Real for Feels podcast this Thursday. It's been a lot of Starfield content because this game's get a lot of hate for not really the right reasons, man. I would respect it if people did actually criticize the things that deserve to be criticized for the game, but here we are, so we're going to talk about that. Follow me on YouTube, Cult Classic Cage, Cult Classic Cage, Twitter, Cult Classic Cage, for all sorts of gaming nonsense, and let's have fun together.
All right, and letting you guys know what we got coming up here on the channel the next few days. Yesterday, last night, we did an episode of the Bibleans podcast. We talked about Judaism. We talked about why the Jews reject Jesus Christ. I got an actually very positive story that I wanted to share, but we're going to talk about that one on next Monday night when we do part 2 of that podcast. So that's going to be next Monday night here on the channel. This coming Friday, we're not going to be doing the Friday night movie club. We're actually going to be doing a movie night. We haven't done a movie night in quite some time, and this Friday we're going to be watching the 1988 film Johnny Be Good with Michael C. Hall, Robert Downey Jr., Uma Thurman. I think Jennifer Tilly's also in the film as well. So we're bringing the band back together for a movie night. Should be pretty fun. Hopefully we can get some of these schmucks over here to show up on a Friday night to do a movie show. Maybe we can get you guys back here just like old times. Who knows? Maybe we
old
can,
times. I did one, Jacob.
You've done more than one. Don't sass me.
I've got a baseball game where they're going to give away a cap. I can't.
Oh yeah, because God
Well, I
forbid you
usually
don't
go
have your
Fridays.
cap.
I'll probably be able to do Fridays better in the winter. So Fridays
Same
one
here.
day.
But like I said, that's going to be on Friday night. Like I said, Monday night, we're going to be doing episode 10, the Bibleans podcast, which is doing very well. Then we'll be back here next week once again. Same time, same place. You guys know where to find us. By the way, I just want to throw all you guys under the bus because nobody noticed that we changed the background of this week. No one said a single word. I put a lot of work building this whole thing, and you guys
Hey,
let me down,
I said it before the show started.
I missed last week, so I didn't know if you changed it last week.
And I don't care.
I mean, I
I got
haven't
here late,
seen-
so I didn't have a chance to see it.
Why are you guys making excuses? We only seen about 20% of it the whole fucking show.
It's purple.
Exactly. I'm tired.
It's
Anyway.
a very nice job, though, Jacob. We're very proud of you.
Yes, it is
Yeah,
very
matches
nice. There's a
your
lot of women in it.
You think of us, and it makes my fat girl avatar stand out really nicely. Thank you.
Yeah, see?
Okay, now I'm going to change it just because you said that. There we go. Now it's the Friday night show.
You can
That's
tell
how
I've
we're
been
ending
married.
this
I know
thing.
how to manipulate men.
So shout out to Neozoic, Vanya, Alex vs. Evil. Who else we got? Don't Let Him Burn, Duke Nukem. Who else do we have on here? JEC. I want to make sure Drax the Clown, Zeal Dozer, Tactus Jones. I'm pretty sure I gave all you guys a shout out anyway, but I'll just give you guys again. Spencer, Tina, who joining us earlier on the show as well. Who else do we have? Real quick, I want to make sure I got everyone. Josh, obviously, give him a shout out too. And Kate, told Kate she needs to be on the show one of these days. We'll work on getting that together as well.
I like her Twitter posts when I see her on Bounding, so she should come and say hi.
Yeah, right. Christian Frades, shout out to you. Mephisto joining us again all the way from Israeli, as we like to call it. And then, I think that's it. And if anyone else joined the show who I didn't shout out, give a shout out to you guys for watching us on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Twitch. But we got to get out of here. It's late, so we're going to go ahead and play the outro, roll on out of here. So we'll see you guys hopefully Friday night, if not Monday night, if not next week. Goodbye. Wave to the crowd. We're out of here. Outro.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out! You